Bring me that coffee. Ain't talking about the drink, shorty like coffee. Shorty got the heat, yeah, smoking like coffee. Can I get a sip? Yeah, maybe take a dip. Deep in that coffee. Ain't talking about the drink, shorty like coffee. Shorty got the heat, yeah, smoking like coffee. Can I get a sip? Yeah, maybe take a dip. Ooh, bring me that coffee. Ain't talking about the drink, shorty like coffee. Shorty got the heat, yeah, smoking like coffee. Can I get a sip? Yeah, maybe take a dip. Swollen, overflowing. Shorty gave a bit, yeah, early in the morning. A nip on the brim, yeah, maybe just a sip, yeah. Up for a trip, yeah, drinking that cold. Say what you wanna, sleep on the wanna. Got my mocha in the morning, now he floating like the ocean. Won't want another potion cause it's potent. Got it, hoping for a holder or it's over. Live off the contact, she can see where I'm at. Hold up where the blinds at, hold up, she don't mind that. Let me triple time that, can it get a little extra, let's rewind that. And I'll take it back to the table or the corner. Snatch your top off, cause you know I really want you. But I know to take my time or she'll scold you. Mocha mama brewed how I like, all love. Bring me that coffee, ain't talking about the drink, shorty like coffee. Shorty got the heat, yeah, smoking like coffee. Can I get a sip? Yeah, baby, take a dip. Ooh, deep in that coffee. Ain't talking about the drink, shorty like coffee. Shorty got the heat, yeah, smoking like coffee. Can I get a sip? Yeah, maybe take a dip. Caramel the favorite. Shorty too hot, drop it to the pavement. Come a little spicy, attitude icy. But not that there's a problem with the mellow, that's wifey. When I'm drinking her coffee, and every little problem in the world off. Girl, I'm trying to tell you that I'm loving your coffee. Not to be so rude or even just false. But you know I need a taste. Drink it down to the waist. Give your body a little shake. Not a drop, go to waste. Even dip into your cake. Let me take another break while I dip in like coffee. She like green, white, chalk, cold weather. And you thinking she be bougie cause she make you treat her better. And take a bit of more than binging just to get her. When you get her better, keep her in her cut. It's all love. Bring me that coffee. Ain't talking about the drink, shorty like coffee. Shorty got the heat, yeah, smoking like coffee. Can I get a sip? Yeah, maybe take a dip. Ooh, deep in that coffee. Ain't talking about the drink, shorty like coffee. Shorty got the heat, yeah, smoking like coffee. Can I get a sip? Yeah, maybe take a dip. Ooh, bring me that coffee. Ain't talking about the drink, shorty like coffee. Shorty got the heat, yeah, smoking like coffee. Can I get a sip? Yeah, maybe take a dip. Ooh, bring me that coffee. Ain't talking about the drink, shorty like coffee. Shorty got the heat, yeah, smoking like coffee. Can I get a sip? Yeah, maybe take a dip. Ooh, deep in that coffee. Ain't talking about the drink, shorty like coffee. Shorty got the heat, yeah, smoking like coffee. Can I get a sip? Yeah, maybe take a dip. Ooh, bring me that coffee. Ain't talking about the drink, shorty like coffee. Shorty got the heat, yeah, smoking like coffee. Can I get a sip? Yeah, maybe take a dip.
So get your hands high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. How high? Really, really, really high, yes. Yeah,
There's nothing more.
So get your hands high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. Let's go.
There's nothing more I can do.
Yeah, alright, flyer than an eagle. Fly in them rims when they spinning on the regal. This is fire for the people, though we going through the wire. Be inspired through the evil. The mind I'm trying to beat you, chew you up and eat you. I image picture perfect, you ain't even need an easel. Chicken soup for your soul. These thoughts are trying to feed you. I do this for my sequels. Life is for the taking, ain't no living through the peephole. Beast mode, I want my cake and eat it too. Anybody got a problem, tell them they should bring two. Bring four, bring more, bring war. Cause ain't no telling what the storm I will bring for. Beef, that's the main course, tell them we will bring forth. Work hard, dream soar, higher than the G4. Passion over pleasure, what's the living that we fiend for? Please, Lord, please let the heavens fall till they feel this world. So get your hands high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. How high? Really, really, really high, yes. Yeah,
There's nothing more.
so get your hands high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. Let's go.
There's nothing more I can do.
I took it from here, cause I do it like I'm 8 on the 9 lives. Or maybe it's the 8 on the .5, which I'm coming out. It's a hit or you go high, no matter what you get or you go by. Sober only cold God, I'ma be the truth like no lie. Or maybe I stretch it to the next one. Who can even test them? Matter of fact, left them. Wonder if this summer, if they gain it all back. Coming through, all black, with the blue, turn back, with a cup, all yeah, with a chick, all that, with them hips, hold that, you know that. Your boy been a bastard, not much for him to go back. Guess I need to roll that, calm down, hold it down. Word need to go around, messing with the right one. Probably gonna catch one, all in your chest. Put my lyrical breath up high, and I'm done.
So get your hands high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. How high, really, really, really high, yes. Yeah,
There's nothing more
so get your hands high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. Let's go.
There's nothing more I can do.
Yeah, I'm on my way up, I can't fail. My pedal to the metal, I exhale. I do it like I'm waiting to exhale. The kid been moving up. Yeah, I'm on my Jefferson. Weezy, I promise I'm not no one-hit wonder. Steve, top floor, homie, I soar high as the kites do. Bring war straight to your door, that's what I might do. Dope beats, melody chords, that's all I write to. Real street hood to the core, been all my life. DC rising up, ain't no way they stopping us. Even if you had a walkie-talkie, couldn't copy us. No, I'm not cocky, just a little off my Kanye. I snatch the mic and say whatever I feel I want. Say you should've picked Beyonce, her video the bomb, man. That's how I'ma do it when I get my first award. Make sure everybody know how far my elevator soared.
So get your hands high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. How high, really, really, really high, yes. Yeah,
There's nothing more
So get your hands high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. Let's go.
There's nothing more I can do. There's nothing more I can do than just There's nothing more I can do than just There's nothing more I can do.
Over your fucking mother. All day, every day, against this motherfucking money.
F&O.
Y'all got a problem, man. Just scream at this bitch. I know what the father saying, man. Word out. Forever F&O.
Queens dreams bigger. When we make it, they gon' tell us we got lucky longevity. Okay. Well, now it's getting mucky. The hate just made it lovely. F&O don't give a we round the city.
Keep it locked. You're listening to the Pandora Word Box Show on Win DC Radio.
Good morning, y'all. What's up? It's your girl Pandora Love, and you're now tuned into the Pandora Word Box Show. Today, I'm having a cancer conference in the box, y'all. So I have family and friends in here. So today I have Miss Sonja Johnson.
Hello, everyone.
Ebony Quarterbaum.
Hello, how are you?
And Miss GiGi Robinson in the house.
Hello.
And we all have been dealing with cancer, been through the fight, and just know what it feels like to be on the receiving end of it. So we're going to talk today about the diagnosis, the symptoms, the effect that it has on family, and everything else that comes with it. So make sure you stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
chasing them that bad. Well, listen, I know. In all honesty, I left out something. I cheated on her. It was more than a hustling. All types of females come along when you arm it. Most of the time I kept the whole rip jumping, so most nights after shop closed, I'm on the club scene. Sexy mommies in my grill and they all mean. All clean, dime pieces, baby, no flaws. All love, peace, fun, and baby, no war. All due respect, I ain't know what she needed to know for. At times the bad man type she seemed to go for. I'm sorry if I hurt you, never knew the pain felt. But when she struck back, she always hit below the belt. So when we broke it off, I was the one who lost. The closest friend I ever had, I guess that was the cost. Just know you always have a piece of my heart. I should've never chose the streets from the start. But hey, crazy. And I done gave you all I had. Sometimes nothing more. I can chase it, don't do that bad. And sometimes I can know so crazy. And I done gave you all I had. Sometimes nothing more. I can chase it, don't do that bad. I know. Boy, I think black in trouble. Dying for a piece of that bubble. Had nothing but triple-S thoughts, now not subtle. I know I'm hiding in the space shuttle. But girl, so slim, thick, make your boy want cuddle. And now I'm trying to make it a double. Where your girl at? Tell her we can all get in a huddle. I'm trying to make y'all leave a puddle. All over the bed, now lick it to the floor. She's cool, Johnny gon' scrub a little more. Lit, now shorty trying to go. And she little back shots, say she heard a little more. I'm a drink sipper, yeah, I'm a tipper. 5 for the liquor and talk shit to them scrippers. Like a slave master, yeah, I'm a whipper. And before you know it, she was fucking with myself. Crazy. And I done gave you all I had. Sometimes nothing more. When you out here chasing them that bad. And sometimes I can know so crazy. And I done gave you all I had. Sometimes nothing more. When you out here chasing them that bad. I know. She say it's something about me. She love all the toys, but company ain't no fun without me. She say all the boys tell her they meant for one another, but all of that noise go in one ear, not the other. She say they be tricking and try and get her undercover, but they go home with the dry dick in the same room. She say she roll with me cause she love a real brother. I said she roll with a G, so keep it pushing, lover. We like George and Weezy, we like Martin and Gina. I ain't Ike, I make the cake, I don't give it to Tina. I keep her riding shotgun like she my little Nina. She glowing cause I make her come like I got a subpoena. Baby, I could pick you out in the crowded arena, but sometimes I gotta float like I'm at the marina. But you gotta know whenever I roll, I'm coming back with something that we can fold. Sometimes life can be so easy. And I done give you all I had. Sometimes nothing more. When you out here chasing them that bad. And sometimes I can go so crazy. And I done give you all I had. Sometimes nothing more. When you out here chasing them that bad. I know.
This Wild Boy Ron, you tuned in to Pandora World Box Show on Win DC Radio. Whoa, yeah.
All right, y'all, what's up for those of you who just tuned in? You're now tuned in to the Pandora World Box Show. I'm your host, Pandora Love, and today we are having the Cancer Conference. I have Miss Sonja Johnson, Miss Ebony Quarterbaum, and Miss GiGi Robinson in the house. Hello, ladies, again.
Hello. Hello.
All right, so we're going to start off with Miss GiGi Robinson. GiGi, tell us about your diagnosis and, you know, how everything came about for you.
In 2001, first time, 2001, me me?
There you go, right there.
In 2001, okay, I had noticed that the left side, it was just like the left side of my breast just kept itching. It was like one little section, just like right here above my breast, my left breast. And it just kept itching. And that was odd for me. So I went to my doctor and I told my doctor, well, no, let me go back, I'm sorry. In 1998. Okay, when I had my mammogram, and they told me that they had found something. And they seen it on my left breast. And I was like, okay, but don't be alarmed, it may not be cancer. Okay, so anyway, the mammogram showed, you know, that it was a mass, and they did a biopsy, and the biopsy said cancer. Right when they was about to start the treatments, it turned out to be caffeine. Caffeine. So they asked me at Washington Hospital Center, Cancer Institute, they asked me could I like avoid caffeine for a year, and I was like, yes, if that's all it is was caffeine. But they would set me up for chemo, you know, and it turned out to be caffeine, so I knew that was God.
Right.
So okay, so I didn't drink my coffee, eat my chocolate for it that time.
Right.
In 2001, my breast just kept itching. My left breast just kept itching, and I was like, what is going on, you know? So, and not the exact same spot, but in that area. And I was like, okay, so it felt like the size of my pinky finger.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, I told my doctor, you know, I'm just like self-conscious about everything when it comes to my body. And I said, I don't know what it is, but it's something itching inside of me, because I couldn't get inside. It was literally itching inside under my skin. And she put me on vitamin E for 2 weeks.
Okay.
And we tried the vitamin E, and I said, okay, it wasn't working. It didn't help. So we did a biopsy, and sure enough, this go round, they did a mammogram. The mammogram didn't show anything, so they did a sonogram. And you would think with a mammogram, squashing our breasts like that, everything would come out of it. But the sonogram picked it up. And so they did the biopsy, and sure enough, it was cancer. And literally, like, what I felt was like just the size of my pinky finger, but it turned out to be the size of a golf ball. So they took it out, and this is 2001. Now, you know, America was under attack majorly in 2001. And there was so many things going on in my mind. I had just lost my mother in 98. So they had asked me, the doctors was just trying to figure out what was going on, you know, because they asked me what had it run in my family. And I was like, no. I was 39 then. And I said no. So they did a genetic test and all of that, and they told me that no one, okay, it came back where as though it wasn't genetic. So they told me that I could actually spread it to my sons, though, and any female younger than me. And with saying all of that, I had 2 sons, a special needs son, and then I had another son. And in 2001, I started my chemo. The first treatment of chemo, all my hair came out. The first day when I came home, when I woke up, all my hair was on a pillow. And I just like freaked out, because looks matter to me, and I do hair. And I was like, oh my God, you know, like, really, this is what is happening with me. And then I was like, God, what are you doing? You know, because I never gave it to the devil. I didn't feel like the devil did that, because I had a special needed son that I had to take care of. So I said, no, the devil didn't do this, and I didn't do nothing self-inflicting or anything like that. You know, this literally was in my body. So going through that, I had the chemo, I had radiation, and I was just freaking out because I didn't have my mother no more. And I was like, oh my God, so now who's going to take care of me? you know, and believe it or not, it was my youngest son, the special need one. He was my biggest motivator. You know, I was like, okay, because I got to take care of you. So I went through it. And it was very, very hard. The chemo, when my skin color changed, I just lost my mind because we are like raised color struck black people, you know, so all of us was like high yellow. And the first thing that turned black was my fingernails and my toenails. So I was like, oh my God, this cannot be, you know, and I always worked. So I went and tried to get disability. So they told me that I was too young. I was just denied for all kinds of stupid reasons. I was too young. My education background was too strong. My employment background was too strong. So I could find a job and all of this. But they didn't understand what chemo was doing. Chemo was like breaking me down, you know, and mentally I was just like going through it because I really thought I was going to die. You know, I was like, oh my God, as well as my oldest son. He just knew I was going to die. He cut up. He really cut up during school time because he was like, Ma, I can't believe it. You look like this and you this strong and all of this, you know, while you going through cancer. No one didn't know. No one didn't know I had cancer. I went for my treatments and things like that, and I lived with it. And being denied disability, Social Security was messing up my son's disability. So for the year, nobody don't know, but in 2001, they messed my son's check up so much that we only got $238.17. I'll never forget it. And that's what we lived with for that whole year, monthly. Monthly. And I didn't say nothing to my family because you know how you got the family members that look at you as a strong person, but what about when a strong get weak?
Right.
You understand? So I said, okay, I don't have nobody, and I kept on looking at my son, and he was getting sick, but it wasn't to where he had to go in the hospital or anything like that. So I said, okay, so I said, God, if you bring me through this, then I got to do something with it, you know. So they did the lumpectomy. That was the surgery I had. And they was like, well, your reoccurrence is like 2 years. It was 11 years later. And I was celebrating one of my pink parties because after that, I also just started having pink affairs, you know. So that June, 11 years later, I was celebrating and I got a phone call and my doctor said the test came back that you have cancer again. So I was blown.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I know this not happening. This can't be happening again. The first time it was triple negative. The second time it was ductal carcinoma in the same breast. And I was like, nope. I just told him, I said, you know what? Instead of taking my son through that, my youngest son through that, not being in the house and have to be in the hospital, cut both of them off. So I told him, I said, cut both of them off. And they give you that option. Okay, and I knew what I had to go through, and I never got disability, never, until 2014. But in 2012, October the 1st, it was June of 2012 when they told me that it came back. So October the 1st, I said, take both of them off. So my surgery was like 15 hours. But they cut off both breasts. They took my stomach and did a tummy tuck, pulled my stomach and created my breast because I didn't want no silicones. I didn't want nothing, knowing that chemo had damaged already the nerves in my body. And I have neuropathy this day, and I have nerve damage, but I'm still here. You know, so with going through all of that, I was like, you know what? I want to come up with something. I got to help other people because God allowed me once again to go through it. But I had a big supporter. I had my cousin. shout out to Consuela Lloyd. I know she probably fallen because she was my biggest support. She took care of me. I became her child. And she was there day and night. And anything that I had to go through, she was right there, you know. And going through that second time, I didn't have to get radiation. I just got chemo again. And I was like, oh, Lord, hair loss again, skin changing and all of that, all this stuff getting ready to happen all over again. And I started meeting people. And I met Lisa, Sonja Johnson, everybody, Lisa, and so many other people. And they was like, how did you do it? How did you do it 2 times? You don't look like it. The biggest insult to me is when somebody tell you don't look like it. How do we supposed to look?
Right.
It's inside, so how do we supposed to look? When people sick, you don't supposed to tell them that they don't look like they sick. That's not no compliment to me.
You don't look like
you
you're
know?
sick. You don't
So
look like this.
how do I supposed to look when God gave me life? You understand? So don't say that to me. And I always tell people that I talk to with any type of cancer, don't accept that. When somebody come up to you and say that you don't look like it, well, what do I supposed to look like? Just tell me what I'm supposed to look like, because what you see is who I am and what you get. So, and it's in my body. So how you gonna say I don't look like it when it's real? You know, I fought disability. I fought Social Security, and I told them I don't even care if you had chemo on your pinky finger. It affects your whole body. They don't know, so don't judge us by what we have done in the past when this is what's going on in our life today. You can't tell me that because I always worked or I went to college or whatever that you know what I can do. You don't know anything because you're not living what I'm going through. And when depression kick in, it's so real. And when you be strong for other people, and this is just being real, people don't want to hear your story. They don't care because they so used to coming to you with their problems. And I learned that the hard way by going through that. So what I did was I created a comfort zone, my own, in my bedroom. And while I was going through it, I just started, scriptures are all over my bedroom now. All over, you know, because that's what it is. But it started helping people. It helped me to help people. You know, I'm not ashamed. I'm so proud of being a 2-time survivor, you know, and anybody that's going through any type of cancer, you know, I'm a big supporter. You know, because I know what it feel like, but I don't know what you feel like. But I know what it feel like when I was going through it, because it affects all of us different. You know, so I just ask God all the time to remove, I think one of the most ignorant, and this is just my personal opinion being a cancer survivor, I think the most ignorant thing that I see on Facebook is when they say F cancer. You can't when it's real. You know, you could be angry, but when you get on there and you know you start like just hating it, you know, try to live with the person that's living with it. Try to be a supporter with the person instead of, you know, you could get 1,000 likes or 1,000 dislikes or whatever, and people always saying, I hate it because my best friend just died or my mother just died. Yeah, but was you there for her? Was you there for him? Try to be a part of that person when they going through it at that moment. You understand? Don't be sitting up there like after the fact and see how many people, you know, they gotta know everything because that's what Facebook and social media is about anyway. But they heard down the road that you had cancer, but who came knocking at your door? What church reached out to you? I got an awesome church that back us, you know, but people don't understand. All it takes is one person. One person. And what I say and what I try to do to encourage people is don't you give up. Don't give up. because if God brought us through it, then He has something else in store for us. You understand what I'm saying? So, I just say be encouraged. Everybody be encouraged, you know, when it comes down to any illness, because He created us imperfect, so that we can lean on Him to try to learn to be perfect as close as possible. You understand? So that's what I say to people. You know, I'm a strong supporter. I'm a survivor. Happy to be here, able to share a little bit of, you know, what I went through, and I just said keep your head up.
Yeah. Right. So, during your time of going through, what was your mental like? Did you ever have like in your mental any thought of giving up, like?
Yes, I did. Because was I mad at God? I was like, for real, God? When I got my main focus is my two sons always.
Right.
But that youngest one, he has multiple disabilities. So I was like, really? And my mother died, and now this is what I get when my mother died, and I still got to take care of him because he is so determined to live. He loved life, so I was like, nope. So many days, I'm not gonna lie, so many days I wanted to give him all of his medicine and I wanted to take all my medicine and just go to sleep. I didn't want us to be in pain.
Right.
Now, mentally, I went through it. I still go through it. I take medicine for depression, but God is so good, you know, that it's like, I'm not even gonna say it's the devil because I can't give him credit for that, but because I've been through it and I sit in that house, you know, and this is me looking at the woman in the mirror, and it's like, okay, this is your story. This is real. When all the clothes come off and the wigs come off and the lashes or whatever, you know, that's the real me. But it's nothing inside of me but that pure heart for God, you know, because I'm blessed, you know, and He is the one that just kept me along with a lot of prayer, and I took prayer over medicine because I didn't want to, you know, I've never been a person that liked to take medicine, so I was like, I'm scared for real. Do I want to die? I don't want to die like this. So I don't give parasite cancer that, you know, little thing in my mind, like, I'm going to take over your mind, I'm going to take over your body. I can't give them that much credit when I got this big old full body right here, you know? So it's like, really, you are a parasite. That's how I look at it. That's the only way I look at it. But I shut down. I shut down, and it's normal. When people say mental illness, it's real. It's real. I haven't done it, and have I thought about it so many times? Yeah, because the drugs is right there for me for all the side effects that cancer gave me. You know, but I don't take no medicine for cancer. Never have, and that's awesome. You know, so am I scared sometimes? Yeah, because it's normal. You know, like, oh, is it coming back again? You know, I'm not like running this race for real, you know, to do it 2 times. And the awesome part is I can't get cancer in these 2 breasts.
Right.
There you go.
Yes.
That's my stomach. But they make it clear the cancer cells don't go nowhere.
Right.
So I could get it in this. It could be in my pinky finger, and they'd be like, it's the breast cancer. Well, okay. It can happen. And I'm just waiting for, if it happened, it happened, you know,
Right.
but my mind frame is it's just a little parasite. But what do you do with it? Do you honor the temple, or do you appreciate the gift that God gave you as life? Or do you just focus on that little thing that this happened to be growing in our body because all of us got cancer cells. Some of them are agitated. Some of them are self-inflicted. You know, I refuse to do that, you know. So when they told me in 98 that it was caffeine, but they was getting ready to give me chemo, you understand? So it's like little things like that, you know, they ask you to eat well and drink this and do this and do that, but nothing matches up to chemo. I don't care.
Right. Okay, so what was the change that you noticed in your boys? Because even though you know he has a disability, they notice things, and they know when something's wrong with their parents and stuff like that. What was the changes that you seen in them?
Ramon is affectionate anyway.
That's the youngest one?
That's the youngest. Ramon is affectionate, so he was like right there up under me. You know, whenever I went in his room to take him to the bathroom or anything, it was like he was just like nurturing. You know, Kevin, without a doubt, he loved me, but you know, my son mentality was it was just disbelief. You know, I can't even speak for him because I never asked him, how do you feel that your mother got cancer? Right. He just was cutting up. You know, he was cutting up in school. He graduated.
He was acting out.
He graduated, though.
Okay.
You know, because I was determined, you know. But was he scared? He probably was. Like, dang, how my mother get it? You know, that probably was what he was thinking. You know, his behavior, he was more rebellious in 2001, but in 2012, you know, he's grown, you know, so he can relate and he can talk to me, and he can express his feelings and, you know, share things he never shared before and all of that. And I was like, yeah, because I always been mom. I always been the parent, you know. I always been, you know, like back then I was the meanest person, and now it's like I see so much in our relationship this day, you know, and I guess it's because he know that I've been through so much, you know, and would I want him to be like more right there for me? Yeah, but it's in his own time, you know. Ramon just loved life, so you know, it's like it's just like every day the same, you know. He's the reason why I'm like I am today, because he been through so much, and from the day one he been through so much, and they said he wasn't, and he 29. Right. Talking trash and singing and flirting, and
but they said he wasn't gonna make it to that age.
They said he wasn't gonna make it out the hospital at birth. He was a watermelon. He was 10, 11. He wouldn't come out. He wouldn't come out. So I was like, y'all gotta do something. And with that, he had severe brain damage, and he ain't started walking and talking to the age of 5. And haven't stopped, you know. It's like, and he graduated from St. Coletta and all of that, you know, and just because he loved life, and he go through his epilepsy, you know, and he'll be in the hospital. In 2012, God put it where though, so that I wouldn't have to worry. I was in Washington Hospital Center, and my son was in Children's,
right next to them.
and he came home, and right when he came home, I have to give God this shout out, because every time I think about this, when I went through it in 2012, they didn't have no space and no rooms in Washington Hospital Center. So I was in the ICU, and they ain't had no rooms in the ICU. And they put me in this little thing. All I could see when I opened my eyes was G unit. That's all I seen. And I was like, G unit. So okay, so they rolled me in there, had a tube down my throat and all that. I was like, just, you know, like all messed up, you know, because it was like, but I was so happy my eyes open. So I didn't know what G unit was until later. And my cousin Connie, she was right there, and she was telling me that the doctors had told her she didn't make it. So she was like, I told him, I brought her in here live, y'all gotta do something. You know, she said, I don't care what you do, because you can't do that. She got a special son. She got a special son. And she said, they came back out and said it again. And she was like, I can't tell my family that. I just can't tell my family that she gone, you know. And it was God, because I'm here. So when I woke up, my church members was there. All of my family members was there. People I ain't had not seen. I was like, wow, you know. And my youth pastor, Antoine Noyes, I'll never forget it. When I opened up, he was standing right on top, and he said, "You're a sight for sore eyes." I said, "Wow," you know, but I couldn't talk. You know, I had this thing, and he was like, "Man, everybody just celebrating." I had this old lady, nurse, that prayed over me. She was the one assigned to me, and when she left, it was like maybe my third day. I was in ICU. So at nighttime, you know, like where you all are, that's where the desk was. And I would hear these two young girls. I didn't know at the time, I just hear them running their mouth. And it was just this one, and she was just kept being negative. And she was like, I don't know who that B thinks she is. Don't nobody have no, that many visitors in no ICU and all of this stuff. So I didn't know she was talking about me. I didn't. And she was like, I got something for her. So I was pushing for my pain. And she came in there. But I always kept seeing shadows keep going past me while I was just laying there without, nobody didn't, you know, say nothing to me. I was just laying there. And people just kept talking about, she worked the midnight shift, and they was talking, and the girl said, you ain't gonna do that, you crazy. And she was like, watch. So I pushed the pain, and my little light, I guess, had lit up or whatever. I don't know what was going on. So she walked in, and she was like, I'm gonna stop this right now, because I ain't going through this. And she unplugged my pain machine. And I looked at her in her face, and she said, cause I ain't gonna keep coming in here or whatever. So I didn't know. So I didn't know that she unplugged my pain machine. And she was out there running her mouth with the girl, and she was like, I got that B. And I was like, God. So about 2 o'clock in the morning, I was pushing, and nothing was happening, cause pain was just crazy. I could feel like literally everything, because they had told me that they was like literally pulling the inside out, you know, with my muscles and all of that stuff. So I was feeling all of that. About 5 o'clock in the morning, the old lady came in there, and I never went to sleep. She just seen tears, and she was like, "What's the matter?" And I couldn't talk, and I was just like doing this. And she said, you want something to write with? And I just blinked my eyes, and she got me a pad. And I said, there's 2 girls out there. And I said, if you bring them in here, that's what I wrote. If you bring them in, I can show you which one unplugged my pain machine. Because she asked me, how did it get unplugged? That's when I found out that it was my pain machine. And I said, there's 2 girls out there, and those girls ain't got on till 7 o'clock in the morning. Lady came, and she said, and I pointed to that one, you know, I just pointed to her, and she didn't know that they was gonna be taking my thing out later on that day. Doctors made their round, and the old lady, the nurse, she saved that for my doctor, and I was like, but they had took the thing out, so she was shocked when they requested her to come in my room. And I said, no, I said, it was 2 of them. and it had to be like 6:30, and they was about to get off at 7. So I said, that one, and they said, don't strain your voice. I said, that one, and she was like, what? You know, and I said, she called me all kind of B's and was saying, I just wrote everything that she said, I wrote it. So the girl told on her. She said, yeah, it was her. And she did unplug the machine, and the old nurse said, yeah, it was unplugged when I got here. So they got security. She got fired right there. And I was like, God, why me? I said, you don't even know me. And this your job. You know, I was just like, I don't understand. People at ICU, and this is what y'all do, and they families trust them. My family they was ready. You know. Could
imagine.
I was like, this is ridiculous, you know. I said, better hope that you never had breast cancer or any type of cancer and have to be cared for in the ICU. I said, because it's going to come back. So my days went. So it was my 5th day, and they were still trying to find me a room. And I ain't had no room. I got all these drains in me and all of that. My pastor came, and my pastor never visits nobody by himself. They come in groups.
Right.
And when I looked, he had this motorcycle helmet. Charles E. Cato, best pastor ever, had his helmet. He said, Gigi, you want to go home? I said, I do. I didn't even know that my son, you know, what was going on with my son. And I said, I do. He prayed over me, and about 3 hours later, they came, and he was like, you going home? And I was like, I'm going home. They was like, she not going to a room? And they was like, no, she going straight home. So I went straight home from ICU, tubes, drains, everything. And my son was waiting, you know. I was like, wow, you know, he was there with his one-on-one, and my niece, she was there. I was like, I don't never want to go back. I don't never want to have cancer no more. I don't want to do this because he right here waiting for me, you know. And it was just like, I wanted him to sleep with me. He never slept with me. I wanted him to sleep with me because he was just like right there when I came home, you know, and I was just so excited. But G-Unit turned out to be the replenishing room. It wasn't even a room, so I said, that was God's unit. Had me up in God's unit. I was like, yes, yeah. I was in God's unit, so I got to go home. And I was like, that's what G-Unit was. That's what G-Unit was. You know, and they was like, what did you talk about? I was like, I was in a replenishing room. But that's why I kept seeing those shadows. But none of them people never said nothing to me.
They were just coming to get stuff. Yeah.
God is good, man. God is good. Yes.
So, how are you now?
You see me, don't you?
I know that's right.
I'm highly favored, 56 and sexy.
Yes.
Yes.
Say 56?
56. 56. Just turned 56. Highly favored, truly blessed. And if it come my way again, I'm prepared. I'm prepared because 2 things I know what to look forward to is chemo, you know, and I'm just so blessed that through my whole journey, never once did I get sick. I never got sick. You know, I just got the nerve damage and all that, but I never got like sick. And people lose weight. I was like, really, this me and God personal joke right here. I was like, for real, God, you made me thick. In 2001 and 2012, I lost 1 pound. That was all I lost. I was like, really? And I wasn't even eating. I refused to eat. But all that thickness, and I said, shout out to my granny and all them for grits and all that stuff when we was coming up because I never lost no weight. And they was like, you gotta eat it, we're gonna have to give you liquids. I said, give me liquids, I don't care. And I was just like waiting, you know, when they was like, oh, I said, oh, shucks, okay, I'm losing some weight now. Nothing, 1 pound in 01 and 2012. I was like, really, God, this is what you're doing? And that's why I tell people, I was like, don't put it in your mind, you know, because people like when they hear that they got cancer. Now I can't speak for everybody, but I just could say, in the mind frame of a cancer survivor, you don't have to believe that you have to look like what the world think we supposed to look like, you know, because you ill. It don't have to be cancer. It could be depression. Mm-hmm. It could be a divorce. It could be anything, you know, that cause you to lose weight. You know, so don't feed into
depression
it
causes you to lose weight and lose your hair just as well.
Everything, and so do the most medications.
Most
they have
medications,
today.
yes.
So with that, you know, it's like you just gotta just like believe. Don't give in on what the outside, cause nobody can't tell. You don't know what I've been through. You can't tell my story. Only I can tell my story. You know, you can't even live my story. You just had what I had. You had breast cancer, or somebody had another cancer, you know.
All right, y'all. That was Miss GiGi Robinson. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more of the Breast and Cancer Conference.
All right.
Keep it locked. You're listening to the Pandora Word Box Show on WinDC Radio.
Every day I wake up, I think the man in a hustle. Every day I wake up, I think the man in a hustle. If you don't have the same passion, don't bring him into your circle. Same nigga you pass the dog to, same nigga that's gonna murk ya. Every day I wake up, I think the man in a hustle. Every day I wake up, I think the man in a hustle. If you don't have the same passion, don't bring him into your circle. Same nigga you pass the dog to, same nigga that's gonna murk you. I'm tired of nickel and diamond, I wanna see hundreds on hundreds. I'm tired of losing so-called friends, I need niggas 100. Need a bad bitch with a backbone that's gonna stick with me. Shout out my nigga Marco, we all about our fucking riches. God is my witness, I'm on a mission, man, I get it. Lost my mind with the bag the first time, when I got it, I spent it. I was a young nigga with a hard dick, should invest in my business. In my mind at the time I was losing it, man, my passion was finished. Had a bad bitch steal my heart, so I guess I cheated on the game. Did some foul shit to me, now I recognize I had to make a change. Feel sorry for the next one, cause I ain't gon' never be for the game. Want me to fall in love, bitch, I can't. I fell in love with the fucking bank. They say the money, the root of evil, but living like broke, it don't help you either. I don't need no one, I can go without them. Taking care of myself is my only problem. Rolling the OG, I burn the smoke. I just bust a jug, then I roll. Conversating ain't no conversation, make it y'all, they don't partake in none of those. Every day I wake up, I think the man in a hustle. Every day I wake up, I think the man in a hustle. If you don't have the same passion, don't bring him into your circle. Same nigga you pass the dog to, same nigga that's gonna murk ya. Every day I wake up, I think the man in a hustle. Every day I wake up, I think the man in a hustle. If you don't have the same passion, don't bring him into your circle. Same nigga you pass the dog to, same nigga that's gonna murk ya. You already know my motto, I'm gonna get it regardless. Watch me get it. A lot of you artists are starving, your IG only thing popping. Still paying for shows, making other niggas profits. A lot of you niggas is dead to me. Let me deliver they fucking coffins. Boss up, don't wanna pay me, you get tossed up. Bands, I need bands, I'ma floss up. We don't do no fake juice, that's that false stuff. I'm from another fucking cloth, bro. I'm a 90s baby, raised by the crazy 80s when the crack was really crazy, when they really getting paper. Now I'm really fuck you, baby. From the city, that's the way they made me. Hundred the real, don't do fugazi. Trust my enemies more than my friends. Cause niggas out here, man, they really shady. I know niggas out here nervous. Make sure they don't know me on purpose. Put my hand out, I make sure I curve it. Say nigga be plotting to murder. My loyalty thick, I don't fuck around. Never keep me, never let me down. My man got bagged the other day. That's the way he get it, not a sound. That's why I stick and I move on. Don't stay in one spot for too long. Got rid of the flunkies, my team strong. I'ma do it for us this whole long. Every day I wake up, I think the man in a hustle. Every day I wake up, I think the man in a hustle. If you don't have the same passion, don't bring him into your circle. Same nigga you pass the dog to, same nigga that's gonna murk ya. Every day I wake up, I think the man in a hustle. Every day I wake up, I think the man in a hustle. If you don't have the same passion, don't bring him into your circle. Same nigga you pass the dog to, same nigga that's gonna murk ya.
Drinks all night, beautiful view, what a beautiful night. Wishing it could last forever, such a beautiful life. I love when you talk that talk, how it feel when you look in my eyes. I need love and happiness, just the simple little things in this world and money can't buy.
Best know that she not your regular. She tryna come up, chase ballers to get a cheddar up. So don't expect the call and blowing up your cellular. On your line to bring a few dollars by just to let you nah, boss about the business, bold and independent. Don't let no one tell you different. She like a work of art, yes, perfect picture. Pretty painting of all my written scriptures. With such a beautiful mind, I swear she one of a kind, definition of a dime. You can search the whole world, bet you never find another like her, take a lifetime. Hold her own, sophisticated and grown. Only sip fine wines, occasionally Patron. Prefer simple, taking walks through the park. I make love to a man, or hold the key to her heart.
Ooh, baby, when the vibe is right, conversation, drinks all night. Beautiful view, what a beautiful night. Wishing it could last forever, such a beautiful life. I love when you talk that talk, how it feel when you look in my eyes. I need love and happiness, just the simple little things in this world and money can't buy.
Looking up at the stars, such a beautiful thing. It's like we're living on Mars. You can feel the love in the air, appreciating every magical moment we share. Yeah. Baby, let's make a toast to love and happiness, little things that matters the most. Hold you close. We got a beautiful mutual understanding. Continue playing our pulse. Ride it out till the wheels fall off. You're down and walk it out with me till our heels fall off. Such a blessing, love your persona. Can have a lot in your circle, but only few in your corner. Looking like a bag of money, jackpot, lotto. Make $1 million body, clap, clap, bravo. Baby, you deserve a standing ovation for everything that you are. I swear you're truly amazing.
Ooh, baby, when the vibe is right, conversation, drinks all night. Beautiful view, what a beautiful night. Wishing it could last forever, such a beautiful life. I love when you talk that talk, how it feel when you look in my eyes. I need love and happiness, just the simple little things in this world and money can't buy.
Such
Don't know what you're to me, no. You really don't know.
such a beautiful thing.
You don't know what you do to me. Don't know what you do to me, no.
Nah,
You really
got me
don't
feeling on top of the world.
I need
I ain't seen you in weeks, shawty. It's making me weak. I'ma pull up where you rest at. You gon' give me what I need. I'ma take you down and fill you up, make you smile. And good enough.
I'm gonna help you write it. Tears of joy.
Show you where my head at.
What's up, y'all? You're now tuned back into the Pandora Word Box Show. I'm your host, Pandora Love, and you have just entered the cancer conference. I keep getting tongue-tied. You had just entered the cancer conference. Today I have Miss Sonja Johnson in the house.
Yes, yes.
Miss Ebony Quarterbone.
Yes. Hello.
And Miss GiGi Robinson, and she just told her story and how she survived breast cancer twice. You know, how she made it through and everything. So now we're going to go to Miss Ebony Quarterbone, which is, y'all, I could say this one was more like personal for me because she's family for me. And we've been there since, might as well say since birth, Mom.
Yeah.
Since birth. So, hey, Ebony.
Hello.
All right. So, tell us, how did cancer come into your life and the experience with everything?
Oh, wow. So for me, it came into my life by way of my son. My joy. My son's name is Ayamide, which means my joy has arrived. And he is the best son in the world. You know, he's a great child. He's just been this big teddy bear forever. He's 6'4", 265 pounds. Played basketball in his 12th grade year. Actually, last year he started playing football. And so I always was saying, he got to thin out a little bit. You know, what's going on? Mm-hmm. So he started playing football, and their training is different from basketball. Right. So he was thinning down. So I was like, oh, he getting rid of that baby fat. Look at him. And so he played his first game, and he was just tired. But he played good, and I noticed that he wasn't eating as much. And for me, I was like, oh, my bill is getting lower. You know, my grocery bill, because he eats so much, but maybe he's just tired. And so he came in and said, Mom, I got this lump right here. And as a parent, I look and say, when your kids get a little older, you don't check their bodies like you do your babies. And so I don't know how long it had been there, but once he brought it to my attention, we went and had it checked. And the doctor said, oh, that's just the lymph node. I mean, if it doesn't bother his self-esteem or he's fine with it, you can leave it, or we have a surgery called sclerotherapy, and we can just drain it.
Okay.
It's quick surgery. You can go in same day, go out you do it on Wednesday. By Friday, he can go to school if he's feeling good, and he don't even need pain medicine. Mm-hmm. So when he went in, keep in mind, when he went in, he had already lost 35 pounds in a month.
Ooh.
But because he's so tall,
right,
and he's a 16, 17 shoe, it wasn't as noticeable, the loss. For me, I could see it. And so they did the surgery, drained him. When it was time to go home, because they said it wasn't cancer, it was fine. Sent him home, and he was just tired. And he's not lazy. He gets up, right. He goes to school. So I was just like, what's going on? Called the doctor back and said, maybe your surgery wasn't right. We didn't make a mistake. Maybe he has a flu. Or if somebody had TB, or what's going on? I was like, no, he's in my house. He goes to school. He's been fine. Never have been hospitalized. This is his first surgery ever. This is his first time being in a hospital. And so I said, something is wrong. So I took him back to his doctor, and she said, his eyes is yellow. Something isn't right. Let me do some tests. Let me see what's going on. She was like, his liver isn't right. Mm-hmm. She said, go back to the hospital and don't leave until they tell you something. Because I've been checking on this little boy since he was a baby, since he was little, and this is not him. Right. And he has lost too much weight this fast. And so that was October the 6th. They checked, we went in October 6th. They had infectious disease come, because they saying it's everything, because they couldn't say it was cancer because they already told me it wasn't when they did this surgery. So they had put him in isolation. I had to get tested I had to get x-rayed because they were saying I may have given him something, and people had to wear masks. And then at the end of it all, at the end of the week, he has stage 4 cancer. Stage 4? We didn't get the 1, 2. Like, how is this?
Right.
Why didn't you? What's going on? I was just like, you know what? I said, you have to fix my son. That's what I said. I said, you effed up. I said, I have all the documentation. I said, so please understand that I now know that when I came here in August, my son had cancer. And it may have been stage 1. Once you drained it and messed with it, now it's spread through his whole lower body. And so, this is your fault. And so they said, well, we got to run some more tests. So they found out, and it was lymphoma, HLH, B cell. And so they said, well, we can maybe do send them to NIH because they may have a study that can cure it. But we gotta just figure this out. So I'm sitting in the hospital, and they said, we'll start with a chemo. We'll start with something because it's already at stage 4. We need to give you a rigorous treatment. Went over the treatments, and they said you can be an outpatient and come in. Did the first chemo, sent me home. My son had lost his mind.
What you mean when you say he lost his mind?
He was not him. He was mentally unstable. He was talking out of his head. He was leaving the house saying he's about to go somewhere. He's talking to people. He's saying, let's get on the elevator. He's, 3 o'clock in the morning. He's just checking on me, saying he think I wasn't breathing right, and he wanted to monitor me. That this is a child who's just been quiet, never had any issues, nothing was going on. And so I went to the doctor and said, you guys have to help me. I said, because my son, I don't want to leave him alone, and I'm still trying to work. I'm working part-time. I'm just trying to work a little bit, and I need y'all help. And they basically said, we not a babysitter. This is your son. Because he was quiet when he would see them, because they didn't even see these signs. Because he was like, we don't trust them. So he wasn't. So he'll sit in front of the doctors, and they never knew anything was going on because he was quiet saying,
you don't trust them.
And so they sent us home again. And so I said, I'm going to need help from my family. I said, I can't leave him here alone. So I went, actually, I said, let's go up to my Aunt Dean's house. And I said, I'm going to run to the store just to get some groceries. But I need y'all to watch him. By the time I got down the street, he fainted, fell out. Ambulance had to come. He didn't know what was going on. And at that time, he had Press syndrome. And that's what the pressure on from his spine, the fluids going up to his head was causing him to be delusional. They didn't diagnose it as Press syndrome. And they just was gonna let it go, but it so happened that a resident who had met him before realized this wasn't the same child she met a week ago, and she diagnosed him. Not the doctors. It was a resident that was there who just met him and said, this not him. And we had to immediately go to ICU. And that was from the steroids.
Okay.
So they give you steroids, of course, to strengthen you while you on this chemo. And then he had to get a PICC line. In addition to the PICC line, they now have to give you Lovenox because they don't want you to blood clot in the PICC line. Of course, he blood clotted, so they had to give him extra Lovenox, which then spread. And that spread in his body and caused it to build fluid in his knee. So now it's October, November, he can't walk. So now he bedridden all over. And he in the room. And of course with him still being, he went down to about 160 pounds from 265.
100 pounds.
And he got a sore, went into septic shock.
Where was his treatment?
Children's Hospital. And I said something is wrong. But what happened was through the chemo, it started to just, like she said, his everything went dark, skin went dark, but it got so fragile that it was peeling off his body. And so under his arm, which he's just laying down, but if you bathe in him, I kept saying something is wrong. So I was getting him up myself. I was like, turn over. I was washing him. I was doing everything. I was living in there. And they, until they ended up, they had to get a 24-hour nurse because his mental state wasn't changing. But it was no skin. It came off. And so, and then also you have to keep, his nail bed was turning in, going into his skin. Because you got to clip your nails. You know, eventually they're now coming off. And it's coming back. So it eventually will come back. But at the time, he was just so big and some of them were just not used to it, you know. And that was like, he's still a child. He's a big child. And unfortunately, some of the nurses were scared of this big boy. They just wanted to keep him in the bed. I'm like, no, he gonna get bed sores. Which will cause him to go in septic shock. And when he went into septic shock, because we were just sitting in the room, and I was like, what's going on? So they called Code Blue. This was the second time they called Code Blue. They took him in, but he was so busy. He was such a fighter. He was fighting. And he had the septic shock that they had to put him in a coma because he's still fighting his body. He fighting to breathe. He fighting to live. He fighting to do this, but that was hurting him. He needed to just let his body, and that's the good thing about the human body, that it will heal. And so after 2 or 3 days, he was able to then be able to breathe, take the tube out and breathe again and heal. And we went from there. Then we had to teach him we had to do chemo again. Because all this time, he only did 1 session of chemo, and then all these things happened. So it wasn't a following the plan that they had. And one thing I realized is that they're just doctors. They don't know. And so they wanted to give him a next treatment. How you going to give him a treatment and he not right? So I want parents to know that you have the right to make the decision. Just because you said you can do a treatment, or just because you said this is what we're going to do and this is what needed. When you see your child and you know your child and he's too weak to do something or she's too weak, just say no. You can take a break. It can be delayed. Do it when you know that they're ready, because sometimes it's too much on their body. Their body needs time to heal. And so he had to learn to walk. I have a video when they had to get a machine because he was so big. It's like an electronic machine. And they started to get him to walk, and he was so happy. And when he lost his hair, I have a short hair cut now. I cut all my hair off. I said, we twins. And he said, you don't have to do that for me. I was like, I want to do it. I was like, we look alike anyway. Like,
yes.
I was like, we twins now. And I had a great support team. I had a cousin, Montreal. I was about to say Montetta. Montreal. She would every Sunday bring dinners. I mean, you would have thought these came from restaurants. Food. I mean, 10 to 12 dinners to last us for the week. Snacks for the week. Anything. When he had an appetite, he ate. And she it didn't matter what was going on. If she couldn't make it, then my aunt would go out there and he ate. I mean, the nurses, they would just come to the room. We had to celebrate Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. Yeah. We were in that hospital and they were like, well, he almost at the 100-day mark. You know, they was ready to start trying to get him out. But I'm like, no. If it's not good, if he's not better, he gonna stay there till he's better. And then we end up going to NRH because he couldn't come home. I have 37 steps and he couldn't walk 37 steps, so they couldn't let him come home. And I was like, gosh. And so I said, if you want to come home, you better walk these 37 steps. And so within, I would say 2 to 3 weeks, my son was walking. He was walking and able to come home. And now he is back.
Yes.
He 268 pounds. He got a full head of hair. He was able to walk across the stage at graduation. He finished therapy.
Thank you, God.
Yes, he was able to go to his prom.
Look at that.
Seen the pictures. His red convertible.
Yes.
Yes.
And you know, he just when he first got his hair back, he wouldn't cut it for nothing. I said, you have to get it. He said, I'm just gonna cut around. He said, I'm just gonna shape it up. And so he still hasn't really cut his hairs, but I don't care. You know, when you go through things like that, life is short. And so it's just do what you want and do what makes you happy. And so I am just blessed that I had a good support system. And I remember when it first happened, it was just like, oh my gosh, you know, this is my son. And for some people who don't know, my son also has Asperger's autism. And so, and we always just be like, that's just a title. You know, that's just what it is. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, we gonna go walking. And he, you know, we didn't even deal with it so much that he's like, I'm just walking because you told me walk. I don't know who we walking for. So I'm like, okay, you know what I mean? We don't make excuses. We just make a way. And that's what we've always done. He's now registered in college.
Look at that.
Yep, and he's about to attend college. He now is back on track with trying to get himself back together with basketball. Because a lot of people were looking to recruit him because it was his 12th grade year. And so I was like, oh my gosh. But I'm like, that's the least of my worries. You know, I got my baby. And when he graduated, one of the salutatorian, she used him as her testimony and speech at the graduation to say, no one should ever make an excuse. No one should ever say what they can't do. No one should ever say, this is too much for me or life is hard. She was like, a Yummy Day is sitting here right now, graduating with us. You guys don't know his story, but I do. So please, you don't come to me with excuses. She was like, he's my motivation. I stand here to give this speech for him. And so it was just so amazing. Like, I cried. I wish I had videotaped it. But I remember God coming to me and saying, this gonna be hard, but it's gonna be okay. And so I was just like, why my son? Why not me? I wanted to take it from him. You know, I wanted it to be in me. Right. And so I said, you know what? I said, God told me it's going to be hard, but you're going to be okay, so this just going to be our battle. And one thing he did not do the entire time, it was only twice that he took pain medicine. Mm-hmm. So throughout this entire time, he never took any pain medicine. I don't know how he did it.
But was he in pain? Did you see that he was in pain at times?
He was in pain.
He
had his doctors said that, you know, some people have a side effect, maybe 2 side effects. He had every side effect. They don't even understand. They said he had every single side effect that you could think of that would come with chemo that you can have. Mm-hmm. Even to where, because he had to keep getting lumbar punctures. Right. Because they were afraid that it was going to his bones. And it would, you know, mess up his bones because he stopped being able to walk. And so he had to, at first, do all these MRIs, PET scans. And first it was with no medication. Then after a while it had to be because his mental state wouldn't allow him to tolerate it. And he couldn't, you know, sit like that. But he did it. And he had some great nurses. And one of them, if she didn't come in, I thank God for who God had surrounded around me, because when I had to go to work and I had to do stuff, they was like, go ahead. They said, if you don't leave, or we're going to put you in a room to go to sleep. Because I was there and they were there. If he wouldn't talk to the doctors or if he wouldn't do anything, she would be there. Give him ice cream. They give him candy. They would just be the support that I know that if I couldn't be there, they would. My mother even went up there. My mother stayed there. And that was another situation. She did, you know, my mother had a stroke. She loved her grandkids. She loved her grandson. And he didn't want her to leave once she was there. And so she ended up having to be taken to the hospital while she was there because she had a breakdown. And so they had ended up taking her to Washington Hospital Center. And I said, you can visit them, but you can't really stay no more because I can't deal with. I said, I can't lose my mom. And so, you know, my family came up all the time. They helped me. And it just made me stronger. I think at that point it changed to I'll never be the same. I'll never worry again. I'll never question things. I don't even stress because I know he got it. He has blessed me tremendously since that time. And I don't even know how I made it because, like she said, they said, you make too much money. You ain't getting no, my son had Asperger's autism since 2. You make too much money, you don't need no help. You can work. So I was never getting anything.
Right.
I had to deal with this all this time and just trying to figure out, but God made a way. Like he made a way out of no way because I know what I had in my pocket.
At that time, did you get another car or your car was down there? Because I remember you didn't have a car at one time. Your car had...
It had went down, but I actually went to the auction.
Oh, okay.
I went to the auction and had gotten a car right before then. And
right before everything happened.
Right before everything happened. So I got a car, and that little car made a way for me. It served its purpose. And then right after this, right now, I just bought me a brand new 2018 Honda.
All right.
So when I say God has blessed me, I still have my place. I'm actually about to purchase another one.
Okay.
So things have been happening abundantly. And you just trust in God and don't write it off and don't go what the doctors say. They Make-A-Wish Foundation came to him because they said this is it. Yeah. But God had another plan. So you can give him his wish because he's going to be here to live it and see it and enjoy it.
Right.
And he's so happy. He's not stressed. He wasn't angry. You know, he was a little crazy. But
right.
But I'll take it any day. I'll take it any day.
Okay. And for you, you have 2 kids, so him and Mina being the only kids, how did it affect her? Because her and her brother are like, yeah.
So, you know, I had to look at it. It was hard for her. That was her brother. She was angry. She was angry at me. Because it was, did I do something? You know, what did you do, Mom? Or what happened? Or why is this happening? Are you doing this? Are you checking on it? And she was there. She would go check on her brother. Oh, wasn't no nurses gonna play with him. Wasn't no doctors gonna play with him. She was there. And you love your kids and you want to make sure you're still there for that other one when you have a sick child. Right. But you just trying to save your child. You know, so I think it was hard. It made us closer, actually, in the end. At the time, it was hard. Because for me, I was like, I don't got time for this. Right. I'm just trying to help my son. You know, and it's because it's my son. You know, everyone loves him, but to me, that's my son. That's my child. I have to save him. I have to fight this battle for him because he can't do it and nobody else could. I don't care if you're the father, that's my son. And so I think for her, I had to take a moment and say, this is her brother. She is entitled to her pain. She's entitled to be upset and have her feelings, and I have to share it. And so in February, we were still in the hospital, but I took time to celebrate her and have a day for her and have dinner with her and do a whole big celebration and just let her know how much I appreciate her being there. And I love her just as much as I love him. And right now we just fighting a battle for him. And they're close. They're closer than close. They brought us even closer. Yeah.
Girl, y'all got me in tears today. I ain't sorry, pass my tissue. It's the crime section over here.
I see.
The crime section over here.
I know, but you know,
yeah.
what I went through.
I know. Yeah.
We had to change a room every 21 days.
Yeah.
Every 21 days, and so it's just amazing at what God can do, because it wasn't the doctors, and the doctor who messed up in the beginning, he saw me. He said, because my son had to go down to a surgery to get a PICC line.
Right.
He was down there, and I said, you messed up. You know you messed up, didn't you? He said, I'm so sorry. He said, had I looked at the weight loss along with the lump, I would have put it together. I said, but I gave you the paperwork. His weight was, if he'd been in an emergency room twice in a month, so you can see the weight loss.
Yeah.
And I brought in all the paperwork from his doctors and my doctors. He said, I'm so sorry. He said, I really did not know. And so when I went back to his oncology doctors, I said, he messed up. He know he did. And they were like, we're sorry. You know, it probably would have, you know, they try to tell you it probably would have still happened, or this could have still been. Well, we'll never know, because he made the mistake. And I believe he's sorry. You know, I don't think it was his intentions, but at the same time, you impacted my son. You changed his future. And so he saw me again and said, I was on the 3rd floor, which is PICU. And so he said, I'm following you. You following your mistake.
Yeah. To see the
you following to see what you did wrong. And so I think my battle was so big on saving my son that I didn't have time to be angry with him. And maybe that was a good thing. God knew me. And so he knew at that time he didn't want to have me just that angry, because I wouldn't have been able to focus in the way I was for my son, because I knew so much stuff and learned so much stuff to the point that I told them what not to do.
Right.
Whether it be putting them on a feeding tube, whether they giving them too much magnesium, you know, all those things that they do because they just follow a script. They just follow a script. So I always say, just be there if you can. You know, have someone else be there when you can't, because it's your child, and you know your child better than any doctor do.
True. That is true. That is true. All right. So that's crazy. Oh, see. And I mean, at that time, it was so much going on, especially in the household, because was Mama still here though?
Yes.
Mama was still here, so
was Mama?
Mama was still.
No. She had just passed.
She had right. Okay, so we found out like right after.
Yeah.
She had passed, right? So
because my brother passed,
right,
and then my grandmother passed.
So it was just like a
whole trickle of
going on,
yeah.
Right.
And I didn't have him. That was his uncle. That was his only uncle. That was his best friend.
Yeah.
And so he was talking to him the entire time. So when he was going through stuff, he was talking to Brian. So he was talking to my brother. He was saying that my brother was talking to him. They were about to go play basketball. And whether it was in the hospital, he would make cards and say he was thinking about him. And he had came to see him and had visited him. And so I just said that was his angel.
His angel.
That was his angel. That was with him. And it's a lot of girls. And so for now, you know, he doesn't have his uncle anymore, but he's stepping up. Yeah. That's cool. He's all right.
Y'all got any questions y'all want to ask?
What's the age difference in your daughter and son?
So he actually just turned 18 on Tuesday, on the 21st, and my daughter's 23. Yeah, so they're 6 years apart. Yes. Yes. But he the big brother. I mean, he the big little brother. He the big little brother. Yes.
Is there a certain diet that they have him on now, or is he completely
So that's the thing. When he was so sick, they didn't care what he ate. When he was going through chemo and when you're going through that. But now that he's better, they do want him to eat a little better because they feel like it possibly could have came in the food. I took the genetic test. We first got denied, so that's another thing just to educate people on. Hospitals and insurance, if you're sick, they help you. But if you could take a test that could tell you what could cause you to get sick, they don't want to pay for that. They'll let you get sick again and help you again before they could have prevented it in that test. And so we just got the results from the test last week. And I carry the gene, but it's dormant. That would have caused him to possibly have it. So it wasn't that. The only, right now they don't know. See, to me, that genetic test gives you nothing.
Nothing.
Because there's so many things that they're studying and possibly down the line it could come up or something, but there was nothing to show what caused him to get sick. The only thing you can probably link it to is some foods. It's some things that he will never eat again. And he's very particular about what he eats. Yeah, I mean, you know, you have your days. Once you go through that, I'll be like, do what you want. Yeah. Live your best life. Yeah. But we also try to keep things in moderation, and there's certain things that we don't eat anymore. We make sure he's drinking a lot of fluids because he still has to rebuild his body. You lose your entire immune system.
Right.
And it has to build itself back. So he had to possibly sometimes and still do IVIG treatments. And these are treatments that are help building his system back. As of last week, he's off every medication. Nothing.
Yes.
So that's good. He was tired of taking those. Yes, he was tired of taking those pills. And but you just have to be careful. So the red meat, had to cut that down. Had to had to cut that down. So he no longer. You know, sodas. We do a lot of smoothies. I do juicing now with him. Okay. So you just have to make sure you're replenishing your body because it damaged his kidneys and liver. Okay. And so you got to build it back up. You got to build it back up. You know, he still has multiple lumps in his body, but they're dormant. Okay. It was so many that they couldn't even remove them all out. So they have to keep checking, but it's nothing. They cut out the one that had it,
the main one,
and so they're checking it. And now they checked his hip bones, but they said that could have been just from him being big, but everything else was good. You know, nothing anywhere, and his heart was not impacted or damaged in any way.
Yes,
so he don't have to go back for another 10 years.
Downy. Yes. Be showing off.
And so I give all praise to him. You know, it made me a calmer person because I know what he's capable of. I know that the battle is his. I'm just here. So, you know, because I'm a feisty person. I used to be ready to fight, fuss, do whatever. But now I know it's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's when.
What's the name of it? Is it John Q?
Yeah.
Well, John Q.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah. So. All right, y'all. All right, so we're going to take another break, y'all, and we're going to come back and see what Ms. Johnson or Tyria. And then after her, I'll tell the story of my adventure. So.
Awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Awesome.
He is. Down there?
Higher than the G4. Passion over pleasure was the living that we fiend for. Please, Lord, please let the heavens fall till they feel this world. So get your name shine really, really high. Yes. Really, really high. Really, really high. Yes. How high? Really, really, really high. Yes. Yeah. There's nothing more. So put your hands high. Really, really high. Yes. Really, really high. Really, really high. Yes. from here, cause I do it like I'm 8 on the 9 lives, or maybe it's the 8 on the .5, which I'm coming out. It's a hit or you go high, no matter what you get or you go by. Sober only hope God, I'ma be the truth like no lie, or maybe I stretch it to the next one. Who can even test them? Matter of fact, left them. Wonder if this summer if they gain it all back, coming through all black with the blue, turn back with a cup, all yeah, with a chick, all that, with them hips, hold that, you know that. Your boy been a bastard, not much for him to go back. Guess I need to roll that, calm down, hold it down. Word need to go around, messing with the right one. Probably gonna catch one, all in your chest. Put my lyrical breath high, and I'm done. So get your hands high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. How high, really, really, really high, yes. Yeah, there's nothing more. So get your hands high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. Let's go. There's nothing more I can do.
Yeah, I'm on my way up, I can't fail. My pedal to the metal, I exhale. I do it like I'm waiting to exhale. The kid been moving up. Yeah, I'm on my Jefferson. Weezy, I promise I'm not no one-hit wonder. Steve, top floor, homie, I soar high as the kites do. Bring war straight to your door, that's what I might do. Dope beats, melody chords, that's all I write to. Real street hood to the core, been all my life. DC rising up, ain't no way they stopping us. Even if you had a walkie-talkie, couldn't copy us. No, I'm not cocky, just a little off my Kanye. I snatch the mic and say whatever I feel I want. Say you should've picked Beyonce, her video the bomb, man. That's how I'ma do it when I get my first award. Make sure everybody know how far my elevator soared.
So get your hands high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. How high, really, really, really high, yes. Yeah, there's nothing more. So get your hands high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. Really, really high, really, really high, yes. Let's go. There's nothing more I can do. There's nothing more I can do than just fly. There's nothing more I can do than just fly. There's nothing more I can do.
Remember the days of Chocolate City, Bamboo Knockers, Knickerbocker, and we were doing the happy feet. Run Joe ran off, the cops were chasing through Heck and Jamal. Block parties doing electric slide in the middle of the street. Don't forget about the Cabbage Patch, the Reebok, Chocolate City. Oh, I miss those days, Chocolate City. Whenever you want Chocolate City. When we used to run up the street, baby. Chocolate City. Chocolate City for life. Chocolate City for life. Give me some Chuck Brown, EU Essence, Junkyard Your neighbor used to look out for you. Couldn't do nothing wrong, 'cause Mr. Boyce was watching you. And if you listen, she always had a story to tell. About the days when everything was swell. Well, 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 well. Where they at? Where they at? The mega shop. Where they at? Georgia Avenue. Where they at? RFK. Where they at? Anacostia. Where they at? Rocky Park. Doing in the park with the big chair. Where they at? Uptown, uptown. Where they at? Ridge Park. Savannah Terrace. Clifton Terrace. Back home. 80 bucks. Metro Club.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Pandora, and you're now tuned back into the Pandora Word Box Show. Man, we've been in here today with this cancer conference. Man, it's been so emotional, so touching. I know y'all been teary-eyed at home because I'm teary-eyed in here, so y'all ain't even got fake. But we got Miss Sonja Johnson in here, Miss Ebony Quarterbaum, and Miss GiGi Robinson. And myself, got my godmother sitting over there in the corner, Miss Dean Quarterbaum. You know, she's a great supporter, y'all. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so Sonja's going to tell us her experience with the big C.
Yes. When I was diagnosed in 2004, 2005, breast cancer. Couldn't believe it. And I'm still in shock. And takes me a minute to get through this, so bear with me. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I couldn't believe it, and I ran. I ran as far as I can go, and I ran the drugs. At that time, I couldn't believe it, and I had no support. Didn't know how to tell nobody. What am I doing with cancer? What did I do to get this? And I had nobody to talk to. Didn't know how to tell my kids. So one day I sat my daughter down. Told her, I said, I'm sick. I got cancer, breast cancer. My daughter fainted. And she's still taking it hard today. My son just dropped in my arms. He kept saying, Mom, what? What do you mean? Why are you always sick? I kept saying, I don't even know what happened. How did I get this? Is it like a punishment? Am I going to die and leave you guys? How am I going to fight this? So I ran the drugs because I didn't know who to run to, who to talk to. Wasn't my best moment in my life either, but I had nowhere to run. I couldn't accept it. I'm still in denial. So I do nothing right. I messed up on my medicine and everything, but I asked God one day, you can give me somebody I can talk to. He said, I never left. I said, but why me? Why me? So I stayed stuck in my head for a long time. I ran and wouldn't talk to nobody. Wouldn't listen to my inner voice saying, I'm right here. Turn to me. Don't turn to drugs. But I didn't hear it. Didn't hear that. All I heard was, I'm gonna die. What did I do? So I went to the doctor and they did their tests and told me it was breast cancer. It was passed down to my family. And still didn't tell nobody. And by the grace of God, I play around on Facebook so much. I met this beautiful woman, and she's been my rock. She gets on me so much about stuff because I don't take my medicine, and I wasn't eating good and all that. So one day I took myself for a walk. I said, enough of this pity party. If he keeps saying I got you, and I'm gonna bring you people, what are you doing? So one day I went to the park by myself and I cried something awful. So I just dropped to my knees. And I said, God, if you show me a sign, I promise I'm gonna fight. And the poem came to me and just kept playing in my head. Who am I? I'm a child of God. I always got you. Never gonna leave you. So what's your problem? So I started taking my medicine. I'm eating correctly. My cancer spread it. But I'm dealing with it. I don't want no pity party, never ask nobody for none. Because now I'm learning to deal with it. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful that he wakes me up every day. But mainly I'm thankful that I still have my kids. And I worry more about them than me. I'm married. I have a wonderful husband. And a wonderful support system. But I'm still not understanding it. I'm learning. But as long as he wake me up and I'm above dirt, I'm gonna keep doing this things. I go to Washington Hospital Center, so that's my little favorite place, Washington Hospital, especially on Wednesdays. Wednesdays is my good day because they got curry chicken there.
Curry chicken?
I love my Wednesdays all day. But I'm really learning a lot about my cancer. It spread it, but I'm not going away. I ain't going away. I want some puppies and I want some grandkids, and I ain't going away. But I'm learning a lot about cancer. I'm learning that my treatments. My hair fall off, and I keep talking about my hair when my friends say, "Oh no, your hair good," but my hair is not good. But I'm here. Yeah. But I was embarrassed one day, and I would never forget that. That's what really made me grow up and stop giving this pity party. I was on a Metro bus, and everybody was talking about cancer and everything, and this young boy snatched my wig off because his grandmother died. And I could have just lost it and went the other way, but at the same time I kept saying it's something he's going through. I didn't want nobody on the bus to get on him because everybody on the bus was kind of upset, and they was like, why could he do that? And one of my daughter friends was on the bus, and they was like, if your daughter was on this bus. But I'm learning. That was my most embarrassing moment right there. But then I started saying to myself, hair is just hair. It's so much more to me now. I'm at peace. I'm growing. I have my own company now.
Yes.
I have my own company. At one time, I really couldn't even put my head up because I was really going through it like, what is this? What is cancer? Now I have my beautiful sisters, my pink sisters. They are my rock. I'm still learning to take my medicine like I'm supposed to. I'm learning to cut back on some of my goodies. Just a little bit of my goodies. Just a little bit, but I'm learning that it's not me. This is God. It's not me. He wakes me up every day above dirt. And cancer is just something that just want to be here, and I'm not even giving it.
Right.
So, I'm just thankful. I have surgery in December on my stomach to remove some of the knots I have in my stomach. But I'm good. I'm happy. It's a battle, but I'm fine. I really am. I cry a lot because I'm real sensitive because it's just me. But at the end of the day, I know who got me.
So have you done chemo?
I had the port, but it's, and that's something that I don't like the marks. And then I have the blackness also, and my skin is real raw. So they have this cream that they give us in the special bras that we get made and stuff like that. But I'm here. I'm thankful. I know the path that I took wasn't the road for me, and at the time I ran, and now I'm running to God instead of from God. So it's a lot, but I'm good.
So when you said you chose drugs, when you said you chose drugs, how did that affect you? When you chose drugs, was you on chemo at the time?
No, I wouldn't accept it. And I wouldn't accept it. In my head, I kept saying, nah, but I knew because I was sick. I couldn't keep anything down. My body was burning, especially in my breast. My left breast was just burning. That burning was just getting me more and more. And I didn't have no outlet. I had no one to turn to. And I turned to drugs. And I was on drugs for like maybe 2 years or something like that. But I always kept myself up, and I say that I was looking for my own answers. I was questioning God, and I was mad at him because my grandmother, nobody never really explained that in our family that, it's something that's hereditary, that is passed down. No one ever gave us that. So I basically was on my own.
So did you use drugs as just to get it out of your mind, or was you using it to suppress the pain you were having?
To suppress the pain. To suppress the pain because I was in disbelief. I'm like, at 1 minute I was fine. I'm on top of the world. I'm feeling good. Next thing you know, I fell out and went to the doctor, and then they was, kept saying this, then I kept feeling this lump. I was like, what is this lump? So the more that I kept giving myself the breast exam, but then I went to the doctor and they put me on that melon and squeezed it, and the burning was just too much. And then they ran more tests, and then they came back and it was breast cancer, and I just closed down. I completely shut down. And I wouldn't eat, I wouldn't talk to nobody. The main thing was to suppress the pain, just to get away from everybody.
What was your choice?
Cocaine, crack cocaine. But now, by the grace of God, I've been clean for so many years. I'm like, 7, 8 years, I don't even think about it. It's that thing where it was that time and place. Instead of going to them taking their pills, I took my medication because I can deal with the pain, and I just didn't want to see myself being a cancer patient, because in my head I seen cancer patients looking like, no, I don't want that. I didn't want that. So that image always stayed in my head, like, for the people I've seen who hair fall out so bad and their skin just turn different colors, I kept saying, no, I'm just gonna not deal with that.
So can you tell your listeners now how that cocaine affected you with the while you were going through chemo, right? We already know that it don't go together, but since you speaking out to people and you being real about it, you need to let them know just what the cocaine
it
did
spread
when it came to you.
It
what
spread
it caused and made it metastasize. It's okay. It's real. You being so real, but you teaching people.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
The chemicals from the cocaine. From the cocaine wound up building into my system where I got a blockage. And I have a blood disorder from it now. And so often I get this thing that grows, and it's a blood vessel that grows that has to drain, and it's poisonous now. So that kind of messed me up, and I'm dealing with it. So every so often I have to go get a shot so they can clean it. It pushes out. I can't think of the name of it now, but it's an injection that I get where I don't get blockage anymore. So it's kind of like clean my system. And It just wasn't a good combination. But I'm good.
God is working. That's what you said. You don't have to do something. You just now said like you don't have the blockage.
I don't have the blockage anymore. But I just deal with the vessel that comes up every so often. But I feel it because I know where it grows at, and I just know how to deal with it. And eventually they say that if I get back on my medicine and everything else, and my daughter and my son and everybody stays on me about my medicine, especially my G. So I'm going to start doing better because I have a lot now. I have a wonderful company. I'm going to be a grandma one day. Somebody going to do it. I'm going to give me some puppies. But I'm thankful now. I'm thankful. Every day I walk because they say I have to keep my body going because if I don't, my bones and everything else can just start locking up on me. So I take myself for walks and I do my praise dance. I show off. I get in the park by myself and show off, but certain things my family don't know, but now they do. But I'm good.
Okay, well, as far as your walks, the last couple of days, because I know your best friend is sick. Is he home yet?
Yeah, he's home.
Good, so they didn't have to put him down.
Yeah,
So.
but I still have to take him back. But my baby he's getting better.
Okay,
so I doctored him up.
All right, so everybody that knows Sonja know her baby, her dog. Humongous dog. You see it on her Facebook page. You would think she's married to the dog, but her husband got some pictures in there. Like, I think like on her wedding day, she shared a picture of her and her husband, and then like the dog is like right there, you know. So yeah, that's her best friend. He's always there with her dog. And you know they say animals know and feel things. You know.
Yeah, he keeps me going. When he's sick, I'm taking care of him, and he's beside me. He's my walk and everything. He's right there with me. That's my keyword dog.
Because he walks you. He big. He walks her.
He like Mama do. You remember that dog Mama do?
Yeah. That's what.
Wow. A baby like that. He walks me.
Yeah.
He walks me when I'm tired and I know I have to. I say, go get your leash. You go get it. Okay. And then I know it's time, and we get in the park, and once I'm there, put on my music, and I'm in my own world. Because it's because of God that I'm where I am today. Yeah. My past, I'm not ashamed of it.
Your past.
Because it built me to where I'm at today. Yeah. Now I have my very own company, and I'm also working on starting up some other things. But I mainly want to just always give back and help other people to understand that we're in this together. Each one teach one, lift one, and that's what I want. And I thank you because I never talk about this. I might say a few things on Facebook, but I never really came out and just said it. Right. Now I own it, and I'm here. Right. Bald head and all. I'm
bald head.
We all bald head.
Right.
He ain't bald head.
Yeah, it is really.
It fits her. Nice short pad.
I just wish, ma'am. I just wish me and my mom could really be close. I think that that's an impact that's kind of weighing on me as far as my health because I don't have my mom. She's alive, but we're not.
Right. The connection that bonds right there.
So, and I do have some good friends. I love them and they love me. And I know I do let some of them get on. I got about five. I'll let them just tell me the truth about myself. The rest of them, I just say, write it down. Write it down. And I'll see if I read it. But I know I do have some that will definitely put me in my place when I'm messing up on my medicine and stuff like that. And I appreciate them and I love them for that. There's only a few of them. The rest of them, you write it down and I'll consider reading it. The rest, but I do. I love her, and we met on Facebook.
You and GiGi.
Yes, we met on Facebook. I read her story and she read mine, and I have not left her. We ain't going nowhere. We in this together. Every morning she sends out an inspirational, lovely dedication to us, inspirational words, and I love that. You keep me going. You really keep me going.
I'm so proud of you, but you ain't crying.
Not yet. Look,
you did this. You did.
Yes.
I'm so proud of you. Tears of Joy. That's her book coming out, you guys.
Yeah. Be on the watch for
so
that.
proud of you.
Yeah.
She confused me though, because on Facebook she looked like Lisa Johnson. Sonja,
Yeah, Lisa.
Lisa Patterson. I was like, wait, who was all these people? And then I seen this one little head right here. And I was like, it's the same person. So, you know, but God works in mysterious ways, and He don't make mistakes.
I was about to say that.
He don't make mistakes, and your story is a lesson to somebody else who's listening. You know,
because you can imagine how many people that have cancer that's using cocaine to suppress the pain instead of
or
going
about
to
to
the
use
doctor.
it, and now they won't. They won't do it now because they know the impact of it.
Because you have a lot of followers, and they listen.
You do.
Not the ones that you let talk to you, but you got a lot of people. I mean,
Yeah,
they be on Facebook
like,
just because.
I hope people don't judge me for my
They
past,
won't.
but at the same time,
Everyone has a past.
Everybody has a past, and it's somebody with a past worse than yours.
Judge her, I dare you.
But I remember when I was younger coming up, it was a guy that lived on L Street, Donnie Bullock. Donnie was diagnosed with cancer. Because remember, he went from Donnie to walking on the cane.
Yeah.
And then, you know, realized that he started using drugs and all that to suppress his pain and things. So I heard about cancer earlier when I was little, but we was saying we weren't paying them no attention.
You never know till it touch you.
Till you touch
you. Never know.
Right.
And
the thing is, you sit here, we look at TV, we see all these commercials, but you never thought it would hit home. Never thought. All right, y'all. So I'm gonna go into this. Okay, so for me, my granddaughter, my 1-year-old granddaughter, was diagnosed with neuroblastoma, which is a children's cancer. They say it's rare, but a lot of children have it. She went from walking to crawling within 2 days. Her mom was living with her mother and father was living together. I got her a lift. They came over, and when she got out the car, she put her down, and when she went to stand up, she wouldn't stand all the way up. And I asked her, I say, she been over her grandmother's house or her great grandma's house? Because they're older. She's older, so maybe she walks, bent over like the older women do. She was like, no. I was like, okay, maybe she hit her bottom and her bottom sore or something. So I'm like, okay, I pick her up and take her in the house. And just all day she was walking like that. I say, well, okay, y'all spend the night. If she walking like that tomorrow, she's going to the hospital. So get up tomorrow, she still walking like that. I said, no, what, I'm gonna take her to Children's. I took her over to UMC because they have a Children's over there. I go in there, they x-ray her. This man tell me that my granddaughter has a fractured thigh bone. And he shows me this x-ray with this crack in it. That's supposed to be her thigh bone or a blood vessel, a swollen blood vessel. I'm like, okay. I'm like, I go home, call my daughter. I'm like, what the hell happened to my granddaughter? It's about to go down with you and Dad. What happened? They was like, she's like, Mom, I don't know. She ain't failed. She ain't did this. None of that around us. I'm like, y'all better tell me something. Something happened. Nothing. So, go back. When I left the hospital, he said, well, come back in 7 days. We're going to look at it again, see if it healed up, whatever. If it get worse, bring her back. The next day, she wasn't even bent over. She could not move. She started, it wasn't even a crawl. It was like, how they be in the army and they just use their arms to pull the rest of their body. That's what she was doing. No, took her back. the doctor that was on duty there, I'm fussing at her. She trying to pull up the x-ray of the fractured thigh and this and that. She said, I don't see it. It's not here. I don't know what he showed you. She said, but know what? Boom. She sent her the x-ray done. She said, I don't see it. She said, but something's wrong with her. And I'm about to call. She called a helicopter. And she was like, we're flying her to Children's. When she get there, she's gonna get off, go straight into an MRI, and the doctors up there will be ready for you. So me and my daughter, we sitting there like, so who's gonna fly? Who's gonna do what? Time we didn't have no money. The doctor put us in a cab. Go. So one went with my granddaughter, and one, and my daughter came in a cab. We get there. It's like Beyonce. Once we get there, they getting her. Oh, this Millie Jenkins. We taking her straight to the MRI. I mean, it was so many doctors around there. It scared us. Like, what's wrong? And that's when they told us. And they came in the room. You know how they come in the room? It's like all them with all these white jackets. Mm-hmm. And all I could do before they say anything is bust out crying because I just expected the worst. That's when they told us that she had neuroblastoma. And the first thing the black doctor said was, it's curable, calm down. Because he I guess, he already seen that it was about to come. He was like, it's curable, calm down. My daughter immediately, she just ran out the room. Mm-hmm. She just broke down, ran out the room. I'm standing there, I'm trying to talk to them. I worked in the medical field. I worked in hospice, and I'm asking them questions that they like a normal person wouldn't ask. And they like, well, we have to do this test and do that test, and I need to know how long it's going to take for this to come back and how far you have to send it to get your reports back. I'm going detail for detail with them as they talking. And they was like, just give us, a minute. We're going to have everything together. My daughter comes back in, and they tell us, so they admitted her, she stayed, put her in a room. But their main concern was why she wasn't walking. And they told us that the tumor she had was leaning on her spine. That's what stopped her from walking. This tumor was the size of, they call it a miniature football. One you'll give like a baby. Mm-hmm. Which they say was like in like the middle of her chest of a 1-year-old. So you can imagine how big that was. Mm-hmm. They started it, everything, her treatments. They gave her a PIC line. Mm-hmm. We was on the 3rd floor.
I know.
Was down there. They did the 3rd floor. She was okay down there. She was still through everything. She was still a normal child. She like, what's wrong with y'all? What's going on? But at the same time, my daughter, and I thank God that her father's a pastor. And when he thought she wasn't listening, she was really listening. Because she came in there and she was like, Mom, ain't no crying in this room. Yeah. Ain't no breaking. If you got to do that, you got to go outside the door. I'm like, who are you talking to? She's like, no. She's like, because babies can feel. They know when you're upset. They know when something's wrong. And she's not feeling that, and I don't want her to feel it. So, we had our days. I just sit there and watch her play, and I'm like, hold up, I'll be back. I got to leave out the room, But she was still a normal child. You could not tell nothing was wrong with her. So, they doing all these tests. They come in with, it may be genetic. It may come down, doing all that. May come from the mother and the father, and there was so much stuff they was telling us. And I again asked them, okay, so far as her legs, have y'all seen any fractures or anything? I'm like, wonder is this fracture, And it's like, no, the cancer is just the tumor that was on her leg that caused it. Went through that. She was there March, April. She had her first round of chemo. We questioned it, but her mother was like, she getting chemo. Like, Ebony, my baby, my baby. You know, she was like, this is my child, and everybody's saying don't get chemo. My baby's getting chemo. They gave her the lowest dosage that they could give her. She had no symptoms. No symptoms. I'm in this, at the Ronald McDonald House, I'm in there, I'm sitting with parents, talking to them about their kids and what their kids going through. And I'm like, okay, that's the same thing she's on. She don't have blisters on the bottom of her feet. Her skin is fine. Okay, her hair ain't start coming out yet. So, okay. I tell myself, she's just gonna be a walking testimony. I never let death be a thought in my head, you know, so I'm like, okay. Then she's there, all of a sudden her appetite changed. She stopped eating certain things. I'm like, okay, that's one. When you give a child ice cream and they don't eat ice cream, it's a problem. From ice cream to popsicles to anything. Applesauce, she don't eat applesauce. I'm like, okay, doc, so what is it now? They was like, chemo changes the taste of things.
Oh gosh,
it changes the taste.
It's like
right.
Yeah.
They say some people describe it as a piece of metal, like if you got a piece of cold
so
metal
that's
in your
why
mouth
you
or
can't
something.
eat with that anymore. You have to use plastic.
Right. So eventually they end up putting her on steroids. My baby blew up. She looked like a sumo wrestler. I mean, her eyes were barely open.
That's all right. She was a cute sumo wrestler.
She was a heavy sumo. Because she always wanted, pick her up, grandma. She's a grandma baby. Mommy can be there, but she wants her grandma. We went from that. Then they started the OT, the occupational therapy, then the physical therapy. She didn't like them people. She was scared of the blue gloves. You know, and we actually went and had to get different color gloves because anybody come in the room with blue gloves, you couldn't touch her. She straight had a fit. So the doctors, they changed up just for her. And they call her the old lady of the floor because her name is Millie Jenkins. They say that's an old lady. That's an old lady's name, but she has an old soul. Millie is calm, cool, collected, and you know, she got so used to certain nurses, so when they change, she tightened up on them. Like, no, but when the other ones get, they be like, I don't have a problem with her. You know, so second round of chemo come. She come back, everything's fine. The next morning we noticed her hair was on the pillow. Her hair was so thick it didn't come all at once, but certain days you just see hair on the pillow. I'm like, okay, Khadijah, you know, chill, it's okay. But her hair, is her hair. You know? She's like, well, I'm gonna cut my hair. I was like, no, not yet. Just wait and let's see. She started her therapy. She started moving more at the hips, which told us that it was getting smaller because it was coming off of her spine. She couldn't sit herself up, but the way the reels was, like she was in jail, she would pull herself up and tell you what she wants and just point and, you know, baby language and tell. She would, they had on Pediasures, which by her being on the steroid, she got even bigger. I mean, to the point it looked like her feet were gonna pop. She was that big. And the bottle looked small in her hand, you know, so it was a learning, scary experience. You know, like I say, I see it on TV, see the people like, oh man, they going through that, but you never think it'll happen to you. Even looking at a close family, looking at Ebony, and I'm like, nah, that can't be. I'm like,
and then you call me?
Ring. Cause, okay, so I call Ebony, I'm like, Ebony, which
I had
February.
Yeah.
She did February. We got there March.
I was just leaving.
She was leaving as we were coming in. I'm like, look, they said my granddaughter has it. And she was like, I'll be up there to talk to your daughter. She came up there. told a Yummy Day story, which made her more calmer.
And brought a Yummy Day up there too.
Yeah, because the nurses, when they seen Yummy Day, it was like,
because
they never seen him walking.
Yeah. So some of them had not, because when he left, he wasn't walking. They had to medevac him to the hospital. So none of them had never even realized how tall
he was.
He actually was.
So, you know, for her to come up and bring him, and she seen that he had stage 4 and he made it, she was like, okay, my baby good.
Yeah. She
and
did.
From then, everything just went good. Next thing you know, they were sending us over to the hospital for sick children.
Yeah.
She got over there. They did everything. They got her up on a little walking machine, and she was walking. Her nerve in her left leg is a little damaged, so it like flopped when she walked. But now she got control of that. I call her Duck. She walked like a little duck. But the thing, they weaned her off of the steroids. So it took a while for the weight to go down, though. It really did. I think June. So June, she went into remission in June. And as they say, like you said, you got cancer cells in your body. It'll always be there, but it's in remission now. It's the size of a pea. And it basically looked like scar tissue. Last week, on the 20th, we took her to the cardiologist. Her heart is fine. They say no damage. You know, they say, well, you know, when she get older, it might have some effects. I say no damage. We're gonna leave it like that.
Right.
You know, we have her MRI and her MIBG coming up. Her nuclear scan to make sure that everything is still fine. Nothing is nowhere else. But other than that, she's doing fine. She's walking. She got her first, I call it her first milestone bruise, because she tried to run and she fell and she scraped her lower lip. And me, y'all, I was taking pictures like, this her first? I mean, we missed the milestone things, you know, so it was like exciting. I was like, oh, she got her first little, but then I panicked. I'm like, her immune system. And I'm calling the hospital, like, doing it. They're like, just clean it with some peroxide and stuff like you would if she didn't have it. You know, but every time something happens, I panic. If I feel like she's a little warm or something, I'm like, she got a fever. And I'm like, Mom, don't forget she's teething. That ain't even what I'm thinking about.
Right.
The cancer coming back is the first thing I think about. You know, so I'm like, okay, let's do it. I want to take her to the doctor for everything. you know,
you gotta learn to relax.
Yeah, and that's what my daughter said. She's like, she's in remission, Mom, calm down. And I still got my little red bag and everything packed by the door with my little thing, like red carpet, we going in.
Yeah.
You know, she's like, no, Mom, just calm. She's the mama, she calmer than me. I'm grandma. You know, and I'm like, nah.
She really was mature.
This really matured her, like, she just turned 20.
But she also, keep in mind, she had a newborn.
Right. That's what I'm about to say. She had a newborn.
And her 1-year-old.
And we did worry about Cassie, but they said Cassie was fine.
She was taking care of both of them at the same time.
You know, when you're breastfeeding, they let the baby stay at the hospital. So she had the newborn here and Millie there, and we was working it out. We was juggling it. To the point where basically the hospital was taking care of both kids. You know, so children do a lot for the families. Yeah. They do that support. They give them that support.
I don't take nothing from you, but in cases.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That was an honest, I mean, because he had to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was an honest mistake. And the staff that helped him, I mean, the oncology staff was excellent. Yeah. I'll never forget them or anything, but it still doesn't take away from what.
Mistake. My son didn't leave children until I refused to until he was 26. I was like, I don't care.
Oh yeah, you can stay to.
He had hospital for sick children.
Yeah.
Special needs. Because after he left there, he went to hospital
for sick children. Right, that's where she was.
6 months, but they are awesome hospitals. And overall, doctors everybody human.
Yeah.
But the
Right.
whole thing is, you can't just make that mistake, you know, and then that's what you still study. You know, help me fix what you messed up first, you know, instead of shying away. And God was gonna make sure that man was in your path again, and a lot of other people.
Yeah, because it ain't too often we go to a doctor and you see them again.
See him several
Especially when
times.
they know they made a boo boo.
Right.
And the children's hospital is called a boo boo, but yeah, so with myself, even though with the nerve damage and all that for chemo, I would still try it. If they, as long as God put it in people's heart to study, I'ma try.
Yeah.
Because it's somebody out there that really want to help you.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and that's how I look at the side effects that we have to deal with in life.
Yeah.
Because that's what life is.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I just hope that, you know, when she get older, we of course we're gonna tell her the story of what she went through. But
I hope y'all going in your journal.
yeah.
Somebody journal.
Yeah.
I know you gotta be journaling.
Yeah. I just say she's gonna be a walking testimony. She's special. When she was born, if you see Millie, she's about your complexion, but on her face it's like a real lighter patch.
Was that a birth mom?
Yes. And when she was born, they called it an angel's kiss. And I just always took that. I'm like, okay. But then when this happened, I put it together. Everything happened to her for a reason. You know, so.
So we waiting for your book too.
Yeah. I'm writing a book now, an urban book, but yeah, eventually I'm going to tell the story. I'm going to tell the story.
Because you live in it. You live in it with her, and so that people out there will know that what you're feeling is normal.
Yeah.
You're not fear. You just like your overprotected grandmother, but that's what God placed in us for people to be loved.
And know what? I look at it now like, you know, we growing up, we see Miss Ethel, my grandmother, all them. We never seen this part of what the grandmothers went through. All we seen was grandma went to the grocery store, grandma did, but we never knew the emotional part that the grandmothers went through.
With all their kids.
With everybody kids.
Yeah.
But we were never sick. I mean, they gave us everything.
Gave us everything we need.
Father John was for everything. And nasty Father John.
My grandma was Indian. She was
666.
Ooh,
Castle.
But we ate at home.
And that was
right.
That's what I'm gonna say.
We ate more at home.
We ate at home.
You ate at the table.
Right.
We couldn't even make sandwiches. We couldn't make sandwiches. We could have our bread, but not at that
Well,
table.
we say
that's like,
Eddie Murphy told the truth. Your friends got McDonald's, well, I'm going here and fix this burger. You gonna come right here and eat it. You know, so yeah. I really thank y'all for coming.
And it's a different perspective. So you guys are survivors. I'm a parent. You're a grandparent. I mean, we all have gone through things, and look at the fact that we're so resilient. We're happy. We could be sad. We've been, you know, people say you have we went down just for a come up.
Right.
Because we're all happy people. You know, I was nervous to tell the story. The reason I think I was nervous because it wasn't my story. I always wanted to respect him. So during this time, I never really posted the pictures and all that stuff of what he was going through because I was in pain. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to respect him and also honor him. So I kept it to myself a lot of times. And like you said, we're always I'm that person that help people. So it was even hard, and I had to own my part in not asking for help. Too. You know, I mean, you expect people to help you though, but you also have to do your part in asking. You know, and you know, thank God he provided and he made a way. But you just have to just learn.
But it's okay too. It's okay not to because your son was teaching you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I don't believe I critique people that place their sick ones on Facebook.
I do too. That's their moment.
Let them tell their story when they're ready to tell their story. You know, it's okay. Like he went through a that out there
Nope.
and tell that child or that man or that woman or
Right.
whatever give you that, like, it's okay now because I was here, but let me put I was here.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and here I am now because you're taking away from my story. You understand? Like, your baby is a baby, you know, and right now is a perfect time to do a child book, you know, because she's a warrior right now.
Yeah.
And she's one, you know, so
Yeah.
wow, you know, and she gonna have her first little book. And just like the kids go into, you know, the doctors, they try to make it so easy for children, and they'll have like little Bill was sick, little James
Right.
was whatever.
Yeah.
Be real. Okay, Millie, this is what Millie had.
That's a
you
good
know,
name.
And it's cancer.
Yeah.
You know, and this is the picture. You know,
Right.
because that's what y'all want to cherish. You know, because way down, generations from now, it might happen again. And
Right.
it could be her grandbaby. So it's like, this is my story right here. So, oh yeah, because my grandmother wrote this book. And these are the pictures. I mean, all the diagrams and everything, where she be able to relate to it, you'll already have it there for her. You understand? Don't wait now because tomorrow not promised.
Right.
And y'all actually live this with her. Them one day at a time matter. You know, to people. And I mean, it's like, don't put it out there. Put it on social media for, you know, because I hate when they put sick children with 100 tubes on it.
Yes.
Oh,
And
God.
then you don't have a heart if you don't pray. Who told you that?
Right.
That,
Right.
Who knows if that's a real picture?
Right.
Don't do that to people, you know.
Trying to pull on that
You know
heartstring.
that little girl? It was a little girl, and she ended up on Steve Harvey's show. But Facebook ridiculed her so bad, and she did have that. It was a disease that aged her, and they was calling her a little alien. She was a pretty little. She ended
Yes.
up
I
on
know who you're
Steve
talking about.
Harvey.
Yes.
Because her mother and her father, they wanted to commit suicide because how dare you? But who gave? And it was somebody in the hospital, and that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. How dare you take a picture of a child and post it? Then
It was a nurse that did it. One of the nurses. I remember that. Yeah. She did. She did.
All kind of names, you know, and that's what I love about God giving us special children because they don't know that. They don't know that, you know, and it's like they happy all the time.
All the time.
So it's like, but what we can see, what you view, you got to deal with that. You know, and that's like, and I asked God, I said, please forgive me for being selfish, but sometimes put me in a place, in a mind frame of my son. You know, because see, I'll talk to a child, I don't care how old you are. If you staring at my son, what you looking at? Say hi. And if I make you cry, you just cry. Because your mother or father should have told you it's not nice to stare. Because he don't know that you're staring at him.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm a mother. So I'm like, what
I
do
had
you
that
see that
experience
what
with
do you
Millie.
see that I don't see? I don't understand what you see that I don't see.
Yeah.
You
Like.
know, so when people do that, you know, and it's like,
It's the adults that are worse for me.
but this is what I'm saying. So
Because
you teach them
the
when
kids
they
didn't
little.
get taught.
Right.
This is what I'm saying. So you teach them when they young. Because
Right.
my pastor gave me a Sunday for a full testimony for maybe like 30 minutes. Because I told him I'm a mother first. And I said, and once you speak to him, you got a friend for life. You know, so if I catch him and he don't know that he doing, but he might just be daydreaming. And that's how, when I had to find out those were seizures, they were called daydreaming.
Right.
I said, who you staring at? Don't
He's
stare.
in- yeah.
He'll turn his head like that because he knew what the word meant. You know, but I don't care how old you are. I will put you in your feelings when it comes down to
Your
not
child.
even my son. If you feel like, you know, it's somebody that look, all of us look different.
Yes.
So what is it that you want to say to me? Just ask me, you want to know my name? What you want, my phone number? Anything, you know, it's like, because come on now. All of us are created from God.
Yeah. Because I could be on the subway with Millie, and like you say, sometimes it's just adults.
Rude.
Okay, she don't have hair, but she got on a pink shirt with purple bows and pink shoes. Oh, ooh, how can a he? That's a he? No, I don't think so.
And see, and that automatically put us up at defense. And then,
Right.
you know what, though? What I tell people, I know, isn't she so cute that she could be a boy or girl?
That's what I say. Ain't she
How dare
cute?
you? because people ignorant though. They just ignorant to the fact because they don't want to.
And I shouldn't have to tell you, oh, she was a cancer patient. That's why she don't have her hair.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to tell you that.
Why? She could be just a baby that don't want hair. She could have been the one to cut her own hair off. It doesn't matter because that's what I'm saying. How do you look when you got cancer?
Right. It's no look.
It's
Some people
no
hair
look.
don't come out.
It's no look.
Some people hair don't come out.
It doesn't. It does. What you say?
I'm just.
Go ahead. But see, this what you had is what a whole lot of people wish because when it come back in that form.
Yeah.
And you got people that have nappy hair, and they be like, oh Lord, I heard somebody say that before. I wish I had cancer when I had to go up.
What?
People ignorant like that because, but this you don't have to have cancer for a medication to take. All kind of medicine
Take your hair out. Yes.
It could be heart medicine. It could be depression medicine. It could be one of them GNC pills. It just didn't work for you.
Be some of them tracks I be trying to put in for them. She gonna get a perm or nothing.
But when you go through something, you change your whole demeanor and who you into. You don't have time for it. Right. So like some stuff I think I don't even experience because my environment is different. You know what I mean? Like I don't have that same, like I don't have time for it. I'm just trying to live. When I say live my best life, live it. You know, and just cherish those times. So, and sometimes you do have those teachable moments where you have to teach people.
Right.
But sometimes it's not my battle. And I can't worry about it because I realize God can fight it better than I ever could. This might not even be for me.
Right.
So you can't even get my energy. You can't even get me upset no more. You can't do, like, what are you talking about? My son is walking.
Right.
Like what you just say? My son is, you know, like I look at that and that just can change me from going to another level and then giving you that time and fussing with you over something. But yeah, I mean, as parents, we're always going to protect our kids.
Right.
And so at the end of the day, if something is wrong, you can't help but to turn into that mama bear and do what you have to do. You know, it's just sad that, like you said, adults are worse sometimes than children with what they say. And people don't even know. I think sometimes they don't know, sometimes they do. Because you'll have a lot of people that say, let me know if you need something.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I be in that too.
What?
Right.
Let me know.
I mean, you know.
Let me know, but then when you phone is dead,
you know, and
they're
then
so afraid you need something.
and then I realized that some people don't really mean any harm. Some people don't know. Like I used to be like, oh, I'm gonna treat people the way I want to be treated. Now I realize I treat people the way they treat me. And I can't always expect you. I can't be mad at you. I used to be like, oh man, this is what I would do for you, so why you not gonna do it for me? No, you can't do for me what you don't. You can only love me the best way you can, and it's up to me to accept it and respect it. You know, and I can't get angry because you're not being there for me in the way I want you to because you don't know how. You know, and I'm glad that I'm in that better place as opposed to being angry and saying, you ain't this, you ain't that, you wasn't there. Because by some people maybe not being there, it made me be there for me. It made me create my own path. It made me create my own way. So it was all a part of God's plan and path. So I'm not angry with anyone. I'm thankful for the lesson.
Right. Like a friend of mine told me years ago, you can't expect people to treat you the way you treat them. You can't expect it.
And they get that everywhere on social media, and people be blasting it, you know, like sharing it for that's something
like it's something
they
good.
Say,
yeah.
You know, but I meditate.
Yeah, I'm into that.
I love my instrumental music, and I love my wine. I love red wine. But they told me to drink it for the longest time, and then I was like, oh, you know, why not?
Right. That sweet red wine.
That's too sweet. That's sugar.
Yeah. Now, okay, so we were talking about foods. They say sugar is a big contributor to cancer.
Yes.
Y'all know me, I grew up putting sugar on everything. Everything.
I go to the store, and people, especially my stores around my way, like Rite Aid and Giant, and there's a couple of them. I buy goodies and I sneak them in the house.
You sneak them in the house?
I sneak them in the house.
Everybody knows she's sneaking goodies in the house now.
Right.
But I know, but I'm still gonna sneak them in the house. I'll get them in.
She ain't sneaking no more.
I'll get them in there. But my main thing is honey buns. I have to eat honey. I have to eat honey buns. I will eat 6 honey buns right behind each other because it's my body crave for it. And I know that it turns me up.
I love the Krispy Kreme.
Oh my goodness.
When we just coming up, the Joey Donuts.
And the
Apple card line.
Now, chocolate is never downfall. I have to leave the chocolate and the honey buns alone. Next year. She said next year. Because I ain't got but 4 more months ago. I can make this squeeze. I'm going to have to cheat. I'm going to do this. But next year, my whole complete thinking is going to change. I'm doing all the vegetables, Kool-Aid packs, the ones that come in what you call them? Because I do.
They got sugar-free ones.
Crystal Light.
Oh,
Crystal Light.
I don't know.
No, I'm saying Crystal Light is good.
Yeah, because they said when I make sugar, when I make Kool-Aid, it's syrup. I just do too much because I like I like sweet. But the reaction when I do go back to the doctor and everything else, and because my cancer did spread to my stomach, it turns me up.
See, I don't have sugar in my house because if I do, I buy juice. Once that juice is gone for the month, you have nothing but water, so it's on you to drink it. You know what I mean? So he knows. But if I had sugar, he'll take some lemonade. But now so the sugar is gone. We won't have sugar maybe if once a year, if that. But now it's none in there. So it's nothing for you to do but drink water.
Okay. That was good.
All right, so since we're talking about food, tell everybody about your group.
Oh, so my group is Strength and Resilience. So through Strength and Resilience equals progress. I created that group online in maybe probably 2014 or 15. I had left my job. Well, my job ended, and that was a blessing in disguise for me. And I said, I got to get this weight off because I sat at a desk for 10 years. And they would bring food to you, so you didn't have to get up. You could just work at your desk. You know, you could do everything. We had a cafeteria. We had everything. And so I started working out. I just started working out, and I told people, I put it out there. I started making smoothies. I started doing meal prepping, which I still do. I don't post it as much because I was so busy with my son that things kind of changed. But I lost a tremendous amount of weight just by walk. First, I couldn't run. I was thinking if I ran, I was going to die. I couldn't imagine ever running. I was like, how do people run? And so I would start walking, found different places, Arboretum, then I would do the Woodrow Bridge, then I walk down 8th Street. Sometimes I'll walk and eat. But I said I got to get back. So I have to walk back. And then I started asking people to share their stories and write what they're eating today, because maybe we can give each other meal options, because sometimes you get tired of eating the same thing. And so it's been successful. I have a few followers and people who, some people are nervous about sharing sometimes, so they just say you post it because we looking forward to you. I have a close friend, Turk. He has multiple sclerosis, and he's now on there, and he's working out, and he's, we have our ups and downs, and we'll say, hey, today not a good day. And so he's on there a lot, which I appreciate him, keeping it open and posting stuff, and I'll get back on it. But it's just a way of saying it's possible. And even if you eating bad today, you can eat better tomorrow. You know what I mean? You can always start over every day as long as you're making that effort. And when you make that effort, there will be progress. And I found that drinking water, oh my gosh, is so helpful to me. I used to hate water. I mean, I would never drink water, and now I can't see myself without it. I have this soda sitting here. This is it. This will be here for a week. And people say, I keep holding it because if I get that craving, I'm a drink it. but it's just probably just the thought of the taste of it, because it's really not doing anything for me. But sometimes you have those moments with the candy and with the other things. And so you have to do it, but do it in moderation. And then I started making the smoothies. And when my son came home, we got a juicer. And then I started juicing. Juicing can be expensive. But I think it's worth it sometimes. Because sometimes you really have to realize what you're putting in your body and what's coming out. You have to monitor that. And if it's not coming out, that's a problem too. Right. And so you have to get it out. So whether it's taking a day, say I can't do a cleanse all day, do a cleanse half a day. Do some juicing. Make it to which a green apple or a banana make a difference with some spinach or something to make it taste good. But I don't use sugar, I don't use juice, I only use water. And so my sweets come from fruit. And you start to learn what fruits are sweet. Because you need it. Because sometimes I need an extra banana in this thing. Because it's not good, but I do it and I feel better. Like it cleanses me. I can feel it, and I know when my stomach or I know when my body is feeling this way, and I need to do it. And I didn't, I can't not do it now. Even my son is making smoothies, and he can't put sugar in it because there's no sugar in the house.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Because I know they were saying something about some fruits that we can't eat. Did they mention kiwi and watermelon? Because I know that was one of the things in for Washington Hospital Center. They were saying kiwi and watermelon helps cleanse your system also for cancer patients.
But it's a lot of water. It's fluid. A watermelon is full of like water.
Yeah, she I don't think she all black.
I don't know watermelon.
But they said another thing is good is cabbage. But these are a lot of cabbage is good for you. Cabbage has a very pungent taste when you juice it down.
I'm not juicing.
But it gets in you. But you can, you can cook cabbage, but of course in that form, it's almost like a ginger because it has a kick to it. Okay. But again, a green apple.
So juicing is good because they do say what doctors don't tell us is sometimes we need to give our digestive system a rest. We need to. So I guess juicing just gives you the extra time to relax.
Yeah, and it's a flush.
I would still be hungry. All right, ladies, I want to thank y'all for coming in today. I hope my listeners really enjoyed this day, this conference, got some knowledge. If you want anything you need to know, you can still hit me on my Facebook page in my inbox or anything. Again, everybody's on Facebook. Miss Sonja Johnson.
Yes.
Miss Ebony Quarterbone.
Yes.
And Miss GiGi Robinson.
Yes.
Yeah, I really appreciate y'all taking the time to come in on y'all busy day and just help people.
Thank you for
get the healing out there.
Absolutely. I'm getting ready to celebrate my son's birthday today. We having a birthday party.
We got some cake.
He doesn't like cake.
Yes, my son don't eat cake either.
He doesn't like. He like donuts. Though.
Okay. Jelly ones don't. I'll take a plain one. I can close my mouth.
All right, y'all. Y'all tuned in to the Pandora Show. Make sure y'all tune in next week. I love y'all, and I am out.
Peace out.
Peace out.